motvpod number 17, and I'm actually here.
Welcome, welcome. Yo, I. This has been probably like the longest week of this year, bro. Maybe in the past entire school year, man. Like this has been intense, bro. Let me let me just give me a preface. So I on Monday I attended like every class, which I hadn't done the entire semester for
I
this week and last week. And then afterwards, I had prepared for my research project to be presented on Friday, and that was a doozy. And moreover, there was this big social event. It was the Wine of Cheese. Um, and yeah, this week has been incredibly packed with achieving, and man, I don't know. I just have a lot to talk about. But how was your week, boys? Let's hear it.
It's pretty chill. Because of the strikes, half of our classes got canceled, and we have no idea of if any of our stuff is gonna get shifted back, like the rest of the semester, or due dates for upcoming, projects, assignments, and all
You guys
that.
have strikes in Carlton, bro.
Yeah, it's been going for a week now, and we've no idea like what's to come next.
Strikes for what? Payment by the teachers?
Yeah, literally like TA payment issues,
Oh,
like wage
TA
issues.
payment.
It's like
Yeah, is it a
wages.
staff strike or is it a faculty strike?
It's like
It's
it's like a
students.
union.
It's
It's like
gotta
a
be a
union.
staff.
It's like
Yeah, but in
contract
what union?
instructors,
Yeah,
and
okay.
teaching assistants. Like
Mm,
Yeah,
they're
okay.
underpaid basically, so they're
So
not
it's not
striking.
like
tenured.
it's not like
It's not tenured.
proper. Yeah,
Yeah,
No,
they're not
it's not.
tenured.
They're not really like professors and all that. Just
yeah, yeah.
either on a
That's
contract or
enough of them.
assistants.
Andrew, how have you been, bro?
Yeah, this week was around campus. It was feeling like it was only the second last week, but it was feeling like the last week of this whole like fever dream of freshman year. So yeah, that's been interesting. That made it like so chill, honestly, because bro, in some sense, I'm gonna call this like grade 13 basically. So honestly, it kind of felt like the last week of high school, like a lot of times, like just like shit, bro. I'll remember you, like that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
so, yeah. I mean, there were two events that I went to, both like pitch competitions at Waterloo and at Laurier. Um, I saw some like proper like PhDs were pitching their research project, which will
Oh
now
yeah.
become their company. And they have like full like proper boards with like ready to go with like both industry professionals and like researchers. And then there's also some like fourth year students who are ready to like fourth year undergrads who are also about like fourth year undergrad engineering students who are also about to probably launch um, their ventures right after they graduate instead of getting a job. And then I went, to the kind of freshman competition here, and one thing that I was always wondering like what the value of this is, and I realized that probably where you can get value is from the questions the judges ask.
Mm.
So I was listening to like what questions the judges ask them, because that if there's anything that like I wouldn't have thought of that they asked them, and I'm also just like how they're thinking about it. And then also like one of the people there who was a judge, who's an alumni, they actually run a mega yacht and like private jet like chartering business. Well they sell them, and then they also have
They
like
sell
relationships
yachts
to charter
and
them.
they organize the parties.
And then they organize. They don't organize the parties, but like they charter them out. So I was like, well, we should actually do motive on a yacht, maybe. That would be
Mm.
interesting.
Mm.
So yeah.
Maybe we should buy their company.
I mean, I'm sure
Just
that
put
they'll
it
be
to
glad
both.
to do business with us.
Acquisition's
Um,
gonna occur sooner or later.
they don't own anything though. It's like a very like small lean business.
No, but
And
like
then
we'll make it better. We will own yachts. I thought you said they did own yachts. We will
no,
own
they don't
yachts.
own them. That's what I'm saying, right? We will own them, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so I'm saying
And
we
we'll,
can.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, yeah, like this is a good relationship for you because
Mhm.
I'm a big customer. But I don't plan to operate out of Kitchener Waterloo, so maybe not as much. But
yeah, that's very
I
bizarre.
realized
Bro.
the thing is,
What body of water are they working with, man?
well, Toronto. Well, the
Ah,
thing is, no. So like, in terms of their jets fly out of like, they're based in like the Kitchener Airport because they mostly do jets. That's like their main thing. I guess they
Mm.
also got into yachts. Anyways, it was interesting. But one thing I realized is that this is like one of those like peculiar networking scenarios, and it's just one of the kind of doozies that come up. Like for example, let's say that you like did your pitch there, right? And it was actually like a fire business, and like you're like 19, you got no money, but like she might actually run you a discount even though you're 19 and got no cash.
for the yacht.
Just well, think about it from her perspective because it's like if she actually sees that you're gonna be working on this, she's like, okay, like you're because this is literally what she said. She's like, my incentive to present here is that somebody here is going to, at the very least, like for their company, is going to need a charter in the future, and then obviously, best case scenario, somebody here will buy from her. So it's
Uh-huh.
like, right. So I mean, yeah, like she just wants to develop relationships with high net worth people or people who run high net worth offices. So
Did you see any of
so
those
yeah,
candidates on the pitch?
sorry.
Did you see any of those
Right,
candidates?
good question, good question. So I mean, Waterloo clearly. I mean, Waterloo just walking in, I'm like, okay, like yeah, like I'm here. There's some people
Every
gonna be
single one
here.
of those students you'd say are capable? Like the pitch?
Every single one of them at the. Okay, I mean, capable is a weird.
KKK. They were
is
eligible candidates.
right, exactly. Every single one of the people pitching were eligible candidates. Absolutely not. Maybe not with their current venture. Like maybe the market opportunity is not like there were a few where the market opportunity was not there, and there were a few where the market opportunity to be a billion-dollar company was there. But in terms of capability, like I automatically assume, yeah, like they're pitching at a very like good level,
What year were
like
they
an
at?
impressive level.
Were
I
they
think
were
the
they the
youngest was third year.
students?
Sorry,
Third year. Third year. Okay.
I think the youngest was third year there. Last time I saw some second year, it was the level was lower, but there was still also a lot of like AI, like language startups. So obviously now nobody is going to get anything with an LLM based
Yeah.
technology.
Nice.
So, but nonetheless, like walking into there, it's like, I mean, I don't know, it's pretty normal, but that does have to be the case as you asked. That yeah, absolutely. Like there's some future billionaires in here. But I mean that's Waterloo for you, and like even like there's
It's interesting that they
like
put the business school right next to the technical school.
so Waterloo sprung out of Laurier actually, as the
Really?
story goes. So my don said he said that when Laurier was going to like add engineering, they sprung out Waterloo, and then ironically it just happened to become fat. Like it's obviously now way bigger than Laurier. Laurier is like not really known for anything. Like Laurier is trying to develop their business school, but I mean, I don't know. Like frankly, like it's not all that. So
business school doesn't teach you business.
it's also a business school, so like yeah, like what the fuck, like exactly. So for the pitch competition here, I mean, honestly, it was just fun to go because like a lot of people from my residence were in the semifinals, and yeah, so it was just interesting to be there and then see I did want to see like what ideas people came up with. There were some like pretty cool ideas. So yeah, absolutely. But it's just obviously they weren't they were more like business model based rather than technology based or like this is a cool product, right?
Yeah, it was a pitch competition.
Right, exactly. Whereas obviously at Laurier they're all engineering based. Sorry, at Water they're all engineering based. So as for here, is there any potential? I mean, nobody really is going to like spring out their business from this. They're going to just continue studying. They do this more as part of their education, not to see if anybody here. Oh, actually, the event is obviously sponsored by a. I talked about like BDO, right? Who obviously wants to recruit Laurier grads. So that's actually why it happened.
Accountants from a business
tax people. Yeah. So
that's funny.
So yeah, right, and that's why the judges were also like not as maybe credible because like some of them were just like partners at the firm,
Is this
which
the same competition that you with your lab was supposed to partake in?
yes, yes. So reflect on the fact that we didn't get chosen to go to semifinals. I don't know.
Yes.
There's nothing to reflect about. In my lab, it was this. It was this group they developed. Sorry, they didn't develop. They thought
Yeah.
up this flower pot, which it's actually a pretty interesting idea. It basically it's a flower pot, and then you have your phone, and it will it has like sensors on the inside where it'll essentially like you like input like what type of flower it is, and then it'll like tell you how to like properly grow it. The idea is that students are want flowers, but they don't know how they like don't know how to take care of them, or they forget to, which actually I think is completely fair. So it's yeah, like use my I mean obviously my issue is that like the pricing model wouldn't really work for students because I'm still gonna buy the cheapest flower pot, and also because it's more like a smart home product,
Mhm.
which are typically more expensive. But yeah, I mean, all to them like they put in more effort into their group. I wasn't really about it like that, but I will be trying to spin it out in September forward, or maybe starting January. I need like a lot of capital to start it up, but that's why I'm selling posters for. And after that, we'll see. Like if it works out first, where I just like I'm running it myself, then in order to actually scale it, I need a platform, which automatically negotiates prices, which automatically optimizes prices based on location, other factors for extracurricular services and parents, which is obviously a pretty like math, software engineering intensive thing to do. But we'll see. We're like in the realm of, as you talked about, building startups and testing out just how much can be LLM'd away without buying labor, which is going to be really interesting because if it does work, then that means that we are not only, well, at least for me, like, because I always think about just how much profit does it make a year, and so obviously just keeping more profit means I have to get a much smaller market to or essentially like a much less witty idea to get rich, but also like if you don't have to raise all the money to buy labor in the first place, then you retain a lot of equity, which means that you can actually get super rich without like the richest people on earth, like Forbes list type shit, right? Like their companies are close to the $1 trillion range. But if you retain like 100% of your company, I think I talked about this, right? Like then Kylie Jenner becomes a billionaire even though her company is worth $1 billion. How the fuck does that work? Well, she owns all of it because her family was like collateral for debt or whatever, right? So, but same thing. If we can use LLMs to basically build more software more efficiently for our companies, then we can retain equity, which puts us on a track of getting that kind of stat way quicker.
For my first thought on what you said previously, but also on this was that especially with competitions, there's a lot of competitions as well this week. We had like design day and then like project conventions, whatnot.
Yeah. Just in general, a lot of clubs are wrapping up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about how the winners I went around and I took a great deal of attention to actually understand who was winning and who was actually capable of winning. And one very notable case was it was a hydroponics like design thing. So it was like actual engineering. They had an entire product. And the company that I had suspected to win did not, which baffled me because I mean, the only way I could describe it to you was it looked like have you watched the movie Matrix? I mean, you'd have to. It looked like the pods that the humans were like sitting in. Like those vertical towers which a bunch of little pods, but they're hydroponics. So it was a waterfall mechanism that was able to water all these plants with their hydroponic system, and a vertical tower that had incredible design and engineering put into it. It was actually an incredible product. I thought it was dope. They didn't win. And I was talking with, actually, I ran into Josh Gertzfulf at the university quite a while ago, and he also said a similar thing where like often in competitions, those who you think might win and who have really capable products might tend not to win. And And then more so in my competition, like I was talking about it as well with Raghav that same day, where we built something and it was for somebody for a blind person, and it was for
Mm.
accessibility to tell them how the colors went, and we didn't win. But the person who did one made an app, and my question was, they can't even see the phone. How could they use this? It has no accessibility measures put in
Yeah.
place.
Right.
Um, and, rather than being salty, obviously, I want to know why they won, why each case had this for this circumstances. And I'm sure you felt this before, where, you know, people who you
Yeah, I have
assume
lots to say on
win.
this. I'm glad you brought this up. Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what I noticed? For one, I noticed that I was too concerned about appearances. I actually don't know exactly what the criteria for the judges were. However, like on my own thing, for most of these cases, like it was really about showmanship. And we also see this
Hmm.
across time. And we were also talking with Josh about this on the same topic where, you pretty much can talk your way up to anything. And for me, I've always been told that as well. I've been told that, you can talk your way and fake it till you make it. Obviously, you can't lie, but if you're capable and you're able to present yourself, it doesn't matter if somebody's 1,000 times more qualified than you are. It just matters that you presented yourself well. And to me, it always felt like
It's the case in everything, in almost
absolutely.
90%
It
of
feels like bad
roles
faith
probably
though.
today.
For me, it feels like bad faith. It feels like it's
Oh, really?
unconstituted victory, but
Really?
it's not. And the reason why I think this, and the reason why I realize this, is that those who win just play by the market. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
whether or not you have an incredibly good product, and I think this is something we absolutely need to understand now. And this is why I'm glad that I have a savviness for design and showmanship rather than pure technicalities, even though I'm trying to, like, my primary focus is actually to build my technical skills. But
Yeah.
more often than not, you see like actual successful and quality startups are primarily outreached by like soft soft factors that disclude actual technical reporting, which
I know
does
what you mean
bring
by
you
soft
far.
factors. Yeah.
Exactly. And like I would say Apple is a good case of this. Actually I would say a vast amount of
They're
their
probably one of
business
the
is
best
actually
cases.
exactly a vast amount of their business I would say is accounted for primarily because of their ecosystem and the culture surrounding their ecosystem. Like you have an Apple, everybody has an Apple. You can't migrate very easily. Mac OS is very restrictive. And nonetheless, it's pretty annoying to deal with sometimes because like when they build their own things, a lot of things don't support that, and I encountered that a lot this
They're
week.
often just
Like
bad.
I
They're
truly,
often just bad. There's been some like pretty shit products,
yeah, honestly, yeah, exactly. Like the HomePod, like
which I've spent a
when
lot of money on,
the the
right?
HomePod was garbage. It was
And people in general, right? You spend a lot of money, and then the thing is, but they do it enough that it's like you're not even mad. I'm like, whatever. Like
exactly we've seen it, and
the
that's
thing
the
is,
thing.
you know what you're getting yourself into. You know what you're getting yourself into. Like,
And
right?
so does the whole world, and nonetheless they still purchase it. This obsolescence
Oh yeah.
that's planned into their design, or moreover, just like the fact that they can get away with this shit, is just more evident of this case. But regardless,
Yeah.
um, I kept looking at these winners, even the people themselves, and you look at common factors, but at the end of the day, I still come to very similar, simple conclusions, and it's just that you can really tell what the difference of. Actually, no. It's when you can tell that there is a difference in effort is when something gets to be bought out of it. Not necessarily the fact that it
Mm.
is different in effort, because everybody could say that they have put an X amount of effort into something. It's entirely subjective. However, if I
Yeah.
come to you with a product that has no front end, but I just pitch you the entire idea on a slideshow, compared to somebody who has a full stack app, that's probably going to win. It seems quote unquote full. The judges don't know necessarily the actual technicalities in regards to it. And that's what happened to me. That's what happened to Josh when he was talking about it. That's what happened probably to some of the pitches with you as well. And I would say that
Oh,
also has
absolutely,
happened with Apple.
bro. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, if you want to say something else, because I have a lot to say on this.
Oh yeah. And I just realized that for and even especially for my research presentation, which I would like to say that I probably actually legitimately started working on it like maybe 2, 3 weeks ago, and I had the entire time to actually run it. I could have made a better thing, but irregardless of that fact, I would say that like my presentation was spot on, not because of necessarily the actual algorithms themselves. I actually wish I had more time to fan them out, and I do. Like I have the report is due much later, so I'm very glad that's the case because I've been still working on them. But for the actual presentation itself, it was showmanship that actually made it a lot better. And like obviously you get notoriety for that stuff, but it doesn't for me it doesn't sit well. And that's something that I've always
Really?
had trouble with it. Yes. And maybe we could touch on this a little bit later after you have what you had to say, but for me,
Well, it touches into that. Yeah.
I've always had that sense of like not imposter syndrome, but actual fraud. And I think there's a fine
Really?
line obviously between that, but
I think it's a
like
clear line.
I would say it's yeah, I would say it's pretty clear. Like you could tell when someone's doing fraud, but I feel like once you get towards that gray area, people tolerate it to some degree differently. And
Yeah.
it's crazy to me that I think on a larger level, people get away with more and more off of that. That's what I wanted to
What do
touch
you mean
on.
by get away?
They get away with having nothing and then getting billions of dollars
Like
in
what do you
funding.
mean like?
Look at Silicon
But
Valley. I could have
but it
a
doesn't
pitch
matter
idea.
though.
Well, that's the thing, right? Quote unquote doesn't matter, but like look at Elizabeth Holmes. Quote unquote. I mean, she did actual fraud. But,
That's
like
fraud.
I mean, obviously she
No,
did
but
actual
the thing
fraud.
is the thing is
But
even
regardless though, like
actually
like
let's say even in
also
that
look at
scenario.
SBF though. Look at SBF. It's the same thing. Big words, big political gains, and inevitably it was the external factors that allowed these people to invest in them. And they didn't even audit. They had no auditors, they didn't check it, they had no technical
So
reports,
I think
and they just
I
followed
think there's a
through.
difference, and we're I actually like I didn't want to get into this aspect of it because I think we completely agree. So I'm just gonna say that there's a difference on this part. I'm just gonna say that there's a difference between the government or protecting society slash people. Yeah, actually, there's a difference between the government having to protect society and people getting what the world gives them for the things they do because that's just how the world works. Like I'm completely comfortable with the SBF situation. My only like thing will be towards the government because it's like you didn't do your job well. Like it's that whole thing where like do you think a killer like you don't need a if somebody like killed somebody unless they're like a cold-blooded psychopath. If somebody like let's say like accidentally killed somebody or whatever,
Mm.
like negligence, right? And then they're just like a typical human being. They don't even need to go to jail. Like they already like to like really have justice be served. Like, don't you think that they already feel like shit inside of them? It's the same thing with SBF. Like you're gonna say, what did he get? I don't really think he got anything good. Like, first of all, like, would you want to be SBF? Even
No.
before all this. Even before all this.
No.
Even
No,
before he went
no.
to jail.
No,
Exactly. So that
absolutely.
actually answers your question second. Same thing with Elizabeth Holmes. The government should have um protected her, and you might, be less of a kind of, you know, liberal thinking capitalist than me and say the investors should have known better or whatever. But that's even like, then I'll just argue on that because that's frankly a hard sell. Like the investors lost all
That's
their
not
money.
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's
I
still
don't think that the thing is you wouldn't want to be her.
no, of
She didn't
course
win
not. I agree with
anything.
you. What I'm saying though, I'm just saying that it's interesting that that's the case. I'm not saying I'm immune to it, nor do I'm adverse to it. But
Okay.
it's just an interesting fact to understand that irregardless of potential tangibles that you may have, I think it's important to understand that these
Society may
intangibles.
not society may not um award you for being a good person, but you get rewarded. The reward for being a good person is being a good person. Like you feel
Mm,
good. You
exactly.
feel like you're living a good life, right?
And
So it doesn't really
the reward
matter.
for being a capitalist is money, and that's
That's
what these
right.
markets are rewarding us for.
That's right. But that's why. And again, you and I agree on this. Most likely, it it
Mhm.
doesn't it doesn't matter because again, like anybody who will ever complain, do you want to be them? I
No,
didn't think
no,
so. And if you did,
obviously.
actually, you would be them. So yeah, like I'll say it again. Like the reward for being a good person is is being a good person. I don't. So whenever somebody's like,
Yeah.
I'm such a good person, why won't anybody give me a sticker, bro? Like, sit down, like, shut up.
That's
So
just like
yeah,
those
but
people who are like, that's just like, no, I'm not gonna comment on this. Never mind. Anyways, what
yeah, we don't. It's fine.
so
Yo, can
When
we
you
get
do
that
What are you
something
IG post going?
good, you shouldn't
Yeah,
expect
I'm gonna-
anything in return. You just do it and you get it over with. Move
Well,
it.
you
Inshallah.
could
Move on.
expect something good. No, you could actually expect something good in return, but the point is that that's not
But you shouldn't.
like. There's just a different.
You shouldn't
I
feel
no,
bad
I
if
don't.
it doesn't happen.
I don't think. I don't think.
If you're being altruistic, you shouldn't expect anything from your.
That's right. That's right. If you're being
From your
if your game is
thing.
altruism, then your game is altruism. If
Exactly.
your game is saying something good, the point is that if you want something good from society, then that's not aligned necessarily being a good person, which is fine.
Yeah,
That's
if you
just how
want
the world
something
works.
from society, then you better ask for it while you're doing it. Otherwise, you're
That's right.
getting taken
Then you can
advantage.
pull an Elizabeth. Then you can pull an
Mhm.
Elizabeth. That's fine. So
Anyways,
my thing with the interesting thing about this is because I've been. I'll take it all the way back to grade 7 when I remember that we had this at the end of the year they were giving out awards and like I really wanted to get one. And then now I find myself in a place where I've been to like a lot of like award ceremonies um this year and actually just in general. The thing that I've been thinking about a lot this semester is um what society do I want to be a part of, because I realize that, you know, when you go to societies there's winners and losers, and it's like it's not necessarily optimized to be in a community where you don't actually care to climb to the top of it. So, or in general, just be a part of it, which is kind of like has been my experience in general in university from the very very beginning, and it's a big part of why I like
could you
university.
repeat that? Could you repeat that? I think that's very important. I really think that's interesting.
Which part? That's not necessarily efficient to be in a community where you don't care to climb to the top of it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So this is basically basically this is something that I think about a lot,
Dude,
which is
I've
why
been thinking about that for so long. Oh my gosh.
right.
Yeah,
And
anyways, continue.
and it actually came down to your question, which is a typical one, which is, Andrew, when you get to LA, what then? What's next? And it's true because as I've been thinking about how I'm gonna accumulate all this money, and I'll still be just here sitting on my laptop talking to you, and that's about it. Like, there's not really much more to it all. I've been thinking about
Well, as you were thinking
I-
about it, or like how you foresee it.
I just
Hmm?
I think that the kind of the childish view is that there's something more to life, and the let's frame it as the kind of more adult view is that this is it, there is no more.
What do you
And
mean?
so the kind of searching for something greater, that is the being excited for something to come next, that is the kind of, let's say, quote unquote childish view, because when you're a child you're excited to grow up, for one, and you think about all of these things that could happen when you grow up. You think it's going to be like you're going to be in a better position, or you're going to like feel better, be happier, whatever, right? And then now I'm in, and then the kind of typical adult view, let's call it that, is very like almost like feels like a very pessimistic, the childish view. It's like you it's almost like a fixed mindset rather than a growth mindset. So because and so here I am, and I even like walked by, like this weekend I walked by a club a few times, and I was like, wow, I can just go. It's like your fence thing, whatever, like you can just jump over the fence, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So when you have all the freedom, you're like, when you have all the freedom, I ask, well shit, I better actually choose where I want to spend my time and all that, because I I don't think that I'm gonna get so much like happier or whatever because of amounting a ton of wealth. So like, for example, like I came to university and it was a little bit awkward because, sorry, not awkward, but in retrospect, it was a lot of times inefficient because I really, like, maybe a little bit in like kind of rebellious protest, but also just but also just like genuinely, like I really did not care to take part to really like aggressively take part in these societies, and in order to really have a spot, you have to aggressively take part. So
Nah,
so
you're absolutely right.
so so I was like, well, where I want to go to, and anyways, so with all these award shows and stuff, and I even think about, like, for example, like the biggest ones, like for example, like the Oscars, right? And I always thought about how it's like some people will almost like cry or whatever if, like, they're nominated but they don't win, but that's like their career, right? But then I realized,
Oh, I thought you were talking
I
about
don't
the
actually.
SLB Oscars. I was like, what the fuck?
No. Like the real
No, but
Oscars,
low
right?
key, I could imagine that'd be
The
true.
reason the reason it's fine that they. Sure. Well, if that's your career, again, it's the thing is, for me, like, I've I'm really have always just been cared about money, right? Market money, and the thing is, I feel like, to me, like, capitalism is almost like computer science to a computer scientist. Like, computer scientists, the kind of typical, like, little nerdy aura is like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna roast you saying, oh, I'm so bad at social skills. I'm so bad at being social with people. But computers are just zeros and ones. It does exactly what it tells you to do.
Ah, yeah,
Anyways,
true, true.
to
No
me,
semantics.
like, my kind of version of that is like my kind of version of that, which kind of makes sense. Like, it's always been like, well, how do you win? And it's like, oh, well, there's like this perspective, like this person says you win, but this person doesn't. And to me, it's like money has always been like a very just like kind of like a zeros and ones kind of indicator. You either get
True.
more or you get less. Right. That's capitalism. That's why, when we're writing essays about all this like ECG, like environmental corporate governance shit, like, we're gonna invest on companies also based on how good they are to the environment. Like, bro, like, shut up. Like, right? Like, it's all about profit. So it's a very easy indicator of success, right? So that's why I've been into it. And so for me, like I'm like, so for example, like when it comes to the spot here, right? First of all, let's be clear. Like, nobody actually takes it as seriously as like these kind of actually like big events, like like the graduation ceremony or whatever,
Mhm.
right? But I think it's fair to say that a lot of people actually do care a lot. And the thing is, they're playing into other games. That's not the point. Like, they want to get better jobs. They need the LinkedIn post. They need the networking. They need the judges to see that they're tops, that they will, give them an interview, right? Which is all fine. So I say that my kind of few takeaways for myself are that whatever game you play, you should be winning that game. Or if it's playing into another game, then you just you use it for what you need. Like, for example, the reason that I didn't reflect on me not making it in semifinals is not because I was like embarrassed. Like, that's actually, like, if I was actually playing that game, then I would completely reflect the same way that based on kind of my financial performance this year. At the end of the year, I will reflect at extent. I will literally reference what I said at the start of the year, and then show how much I surpassed or failed on that, because that's the game that I played. Whereas here, there wasn't really any point in me talking about it. Like, I went because I just wanted to go there for fun, and because I wanted to, also, as
Yeah.
you talked about, get some general takeaways about how they're performing. I want to see the ideas. Maybe I think of something cool, right? Um, if for example, like, my current idea doesn't work, then maybe that'll be something that I do, right? You can steal the ideas, whatever. So, but the thing is, it's like, on the other hand, it's like, there is, like, I feel like, as kind of a professional adult, let's say, there shouldn't be any room for half-assedness. So, like, for example, in that scenario, I think it's generally true that you could have, like, let's say, like, motive is being developed, whatever. We don't fully have the facilities right now to rent a yacht, but I won that. Like, we could have just been in a better position to contract it. And the thing is, this isn't kind of a unique scenario. Like, I'm sure that, like I think about, like, Y Combinator. Like, I'm sure that there's bare
Yeah,
people
of
who own
course.
Y Combinator yachts, events, who have yachting companies and are more than happy to, rent them out at a discount to these entrepreneurs for a relationship that will in the future yield. You know what I mean? So,
Mm.
but the point is, like, it's like, if you go, like, for me, the reason that if I was playing in that game, I would have to succeed is because, like, it's because you just have to win in front of others. I feel like I I don't, right.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, like, actually, I would play the exact game in order to win that game in front of others and be on top of that society. So there's that end to it, which is like, whenever you hop into any game, you have to win in that society. So, for example, if I were to go into the music industry, I would have to become the most respected man in the music industry, or at least in whatever kind of subcategory of that. I would have to I would have to first of all know my place through self-awareness, and then actually like, or know what my place should be through self-awareness, and then achieve on that. And I just think it's so embarrassing to like half-ass fail. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it's so embarrassing.
Of course, it is.
So
It is.
so and again, you're in some sense you're wasting time. So yeah, but and there's that, and then there's of course the thing of don't we're not like kind of dipping our toes everywhere. Like we're making work what we choose to be our games. But I guess the more kind of but this is we all understand this. Just for me personally, the kind of reinforcements this week based on all this, and I went to like the Waterloo like music club event as well, where they had like their end of year like concert with like all these bands and shit. And also had to look there and be like, do I want this for myself? No, I would rather just pursue kind of pure entrepreneurship. And so the reflection for myself has been that I think that at the moment, like that works well. But because I can't really play into these like kind of common societal measures, it's not aligned with me. Like I feel like right now, like I'm very happy, with like our friendship and like the boys that I have, back home in Ottawa, like with my family, and like I meet people here and there. Like I love my roommates and stuff, but again, those are like very personal relationships. Like they don't really care if I, win or whatever. And obviously, they're all very very small events. But like even if it is something like an Oscar or whatever, like I don't I don't see myself. I only like I see myself mostly using that as just kind of a kind of tool to achieve other connections. Like for example, if there was like some fat investor here and I just needed to get that, like I would play into that game. But in general, like kind of the reason to build up resources and community is really to like fulfill my family life in a lot of sense, or like fulfill a lifelong journey, like get a ton of experience, whatever. So again, these are all like very like personal kind of selfish things.
Mhm.
So yeah, I want to spend much less time in societies where I'm not looking to get like high up. And so that's why like I'm going back to Ottawa to live in my parents' house up until I can actually afford to either move in with myself, or move in with people who like are in my community, um working towards the same goals as me, like for example you, John. Because for me to go and have like roommates, for example, who are just like random people, and then I get to know them, it's very inefficient because um I'll spend time doing things. I'll spend time like doing whatever, which will not necessarily contribute to like my personal internal
Mhm.
goals. And whereas when I'm at home, like again, like that's an internal community. Like there's really no need to play into any games. Sorry, I'm trying to think of like kind of a reasoning for saying all this. Um, I
But
guess I
before you
guess
go to
if
the
I had to
reasoning,
summarize,
maybe what I'm about to say, which is I come to
sure.
similar conclusions, but I go about them in different ways. So, and this is contrasting exactly what you are saying right now. So I actually had it's interesting that we actually have a very divergent week in regards to the conclusion that we're talking about, and we're thinking about the very same things. In regards to how you don't want to play these games in societies where you deem it's not something that you
And I never really have. I never really have.
of course, and for me actually, on the contrary, while I do identify that some of these games I don't want to play, I'm nonetheless compelled to participate. And in
Mm.
fact, this week
Uh, a
showed me,
difference between us that's been evident throughout history.
uh-huh, uh-huh. And it's crazy because this week it truly reminded me like I have to do it. And it reminded me in maybe only a way that was very apparent to me, but for what you're just saying right now, in terms of how you want to actually, instead of Like that's very funny. I feel like maybe this year you probably have done more social things than I have, and we're reverting back
And
to
through it
what
all, I
we.
realized, and through all it, I realized my one realization is that I'm a very antisocial person.
And you know what I realized when I was being antisocial this whole year? That I'm the most social motherfucker I know, bro. Which is crazy. I was a recluse this whole semester, and you say that through your experience that these games are necessarily just a waste of your time. For me, I actually think perhaps maybe I don't know enough about them, or moreover
No,
that
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I can't produce a feature, but I think that it's actually more valuable for me and actually like absolutely necessary for me to join as many of these societies as I can
Mm.
to win in every respect and also gain respect in all of these circles. And I don't know why necessarily I'm compelled to do
I
so, but
I will say that is the successful person's path. It seems like.
not necessarily though. I mean, look at Mark Zuckerberg, look at Elon. Did they really
Well,
go about it?
we want. Well, I mean, at least for me, like I do want to. It's funny because we talk about community, but like I see myself often as antisocial. Like I do want to live out that motive goal, which is to you know basically build a ton of likability or trust or just respect with
Absolutely.
as many people as possible, like
And you
on a
don't even
worldwide
want it.
scale.
And you don't want it on the social level. You just want it on the deliverables.
I just see it as like a um kind of sorry, what's the word for necessary where it's like you must like there's no way without it. Like it's an
Imperative.
extremely necessary utility. Yeah, it's an
Imperative.
imperative utility.
Hmm.
Like the same way that I said
Yes.
that moving to a city where you don't know anybody is actually like a pretty like dangerous thing to do. Like
Yeah.
in general, not knowing like not having anybody. Well, as we talked, it's the one thing, and I've kind of said this all along. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I'm sure that they have the things. I'm sure that they have many people who they can rely on,
This
but
is this is really interesting.
the more the merrier. And
This is such a I think this is
it's
actually a perfect dynamic. This is like I would say
well,
I picked up watching Suits again because my brother started watching Suits. Crazy how the
oh
progression
really?
goes, by the
Okay,
way.
okay,
But
fair
like
enough.
I saw more and more like this is so much like Mike and Harvey, bro. Like bro, you look at it, Mike is him, obviously. Mike is that technical guy, hyper vigilant, hyper intelligent, but he's under the radar. And then Harvey knows everybody, and he's not as smart as Mike, but this guy can get everything done because he's
Wouldn't you
him.
say though that Harvey? Because the thing is, you would definitely say that Mike is nothing without Harvey, but wouldn't you say that Harvey is actually fairly sufficient without Mike?
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
But
It's
that's
not
only
so when
because of Mike's position. If Mike wasn't a fraud, he would be fine.
oh sorry, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking. I forgot even like no, I'm saying like just as a lawyer.
No, Mike is way too intelligent to be shitty on his own. He's way too smart.
Really.
Oh yeah, bro. Like, I mean, bro, like that's how they played him out to be. He had like photographic memory and whatnot. This guy like read passed out the
Hmm.
bar 14 times or whatever. Did the LSAT a million times. But anyways, on this
I mean, based on okay, whether it's a single person or relationship or or a group or whatever, like I don't care. But at the very least, you have to have both, and more likely,
yes, yes.
community is much more important. And I talked about this a lot last week, not only like
Yes,
on
yes,
Sunday,
yes,
but
yes.
throughout the week, and increasingly like it, again, like it's seen through like famous people. That's what
Absolutely,
actually
absolutely.
matters. The
Exactly,
faces
and
is
I
what
identify
matters,
that. I think we all identify that. But
of
what's
course.
interesting for me is that it's the it's two things. So, oh my God, I forgot the other thing. I'm still super exhausted from what happened last week. Anyways, the thing that I wanted to touch on is that it's our like our proclivity to tend towards one or the other. Whereas, what I was gonna say is also I low-key dispute that. Oh, there it is. Okay. So my first thing is that I it's actually interesting, and I had a conversation with somebody I had a conversation with somebody who I actually look up to on Friday about this, where it seems like you identify that the community is something that's super important, yet you dwell into focusing on more personal and less community oriented goals. But for me, I actually think that it's the opposite, that focusing and honing in towards something and being more of a niche tends to yield more reward in contrast with community, yet I still tend towards filling in gaps between communities for myself. And what we were talking about on Friday was that he told me he's like he said, I noticed that there's only a couple people like you, John. It's only you and two other people whom I met this my entire time at university. He's like a second year. And he said, I always look up to people like that, and I wish I could be as social as that. And then when I saw that, I
What
said,
was well, sorry, what was the characteristic that he was the common
oh, like
characteristic that he was talking about?
he said like he couldn't really put his finger on it, but he it was because I was having a really social conversation with somebody, and we were
Hmm.
basically like yeah, we were just having like he just saw that he said like he's rare to see somebody click like that with a lot of people.
Yeah, sure.
I'm pretty sure he said something. He said that. Sorry. And
Hmm.
um he also said he said himself that he tends not to be very social, but he also said like how he felt behind because of that. And then I said, well, on the contrary, my friend, I look up to you actually quite a bit, to the same regard where I believe that you're far more technically inept than me, or adept than me.
Hmm.
And I look at that, and I look at your focus, and I look at your ability to disappear and induce that is far more valuable than whatever I can do. And he
Yes,
was like,
that's
well,
a
I
that's
have
a
to
very
disagree.
socially productive thing for you to say.
But it was true. Like
Yeah,
I actually had been thinking about that for a while. Like I'd
right,
look at him like, damn, that guy's smart. I could be that.
right.
And it's that aggressiveness towards that I also admire. But for him, he also admires the aggressiveness towards what I'm going about. And then what I also thought was interesting is that we're tending towards things that we deem important, but we're not, but we're doing the opposite. And
Mm.
I think that alludes to something deeper towards our actual goals. And I didn't want to go I didn't expect to maybe dive deeper here into psychoanalysis, but I do think that it's quite interesting that I tried to be a recluse this year and it really didn't work for me. Like it just did not work at all. I actually like performed so much better because I was surrounded by a lot of people. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
just so much better this week than I had
Mm-hmm.
been this entire semester. And that's why it felt so long, because I had done so much this week because I was surrounding myself
Mm-hmm.
with talented people. And maybe it was the contrast for you because you've been telling me that you've been surrounding all these events, and I see a common feature where you're saying that you just want to sit down and focus. So I don't know what you feel on that, but I think potentially it
It could
points
be
to
that. It could just be a kind of a typical like grass screener thing. Um,
Mhm. What
I
I think it
I think
is,
that.
actually, I do think that
Sure.
it potentially is just I was talking with Felipe about this, but I do think it's just it's like voids trying to fill up gaps in our character. But anyways, you can continue. I just think that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. We can get into the psychoanalytical discussion, if you'd like, or um, I'd I'd also like to, as long as we cover other stuff that's on your mind.
Mhm.
That was
I
already on
actually
your
don't
mind, like
want
the
to cover
weekend
it.
stuff.
I
Okay.
don't want to cover it.
Okay. Well, then let's not.
I feel like whatever conclusions we tend to drive from it will fruit no value, and it's best
Yeah.
left to be
Exactly.
creative about your solutions.
Yeah. Yeah. And in general, I don't really care. Like, if all I know is
Exactly.
that it's my kind of um deep
Exactly.
belief and understanding and basis of what I work on, that um like financial resources are
Absolutely.
my priority over building community, um and for a multitude of reasons, and also that I just need to do what I need to do instead of what I want to do. So like,
I have a question. I have a question.
yeah,
This may be a new topic. Okay, maybe this is a question for me, but I'm trying to find a similar thing for you. But a question that I
sure.
just thought of for me or someone who let's say someone commands intelligence resources, if that's what we want to call it, or maybe we could isolate that it is that it is. If you valued community and you were, let's say, replacing all that with some massive intelligence, would you still value community to the same degree? If you had a sex robot, would you still look for a wife?
Like, what a person?
Well, I don't know. I'm saying that maybe I'm saying like maybe there's a different sort of reason why we tend to take advantage of certain resources. Because because when I ask myself this question, like okay, would I trade all these people for would I trade all these people for a incredible intelligence, some sort of single entity that doesn't have any emotion, but it just has all the knowledge that I could ever ask for? Would I still talk to people on the same regard? And if you had, I mean, maybe this is to the same end. If you had, a money printer and you would never get caught for that, would you still value monetary resources to the same extent? Or would your goal,
Or sorry,
or does
would
your
you do work?
goal, yes, does your goal supersede that?
Okay, maybe we should move on. But I mean, I will say that the money printer versus sex robot thing are very different because one of them is straight to the point and the other one is not, right? As in, like, the point of entrepreneurship is to get wildly rich, whereas like the point of sex is love.
Well,
So
on
quite
that
different.
margin, I would say I'm a very resourceful and logical person. In regards to that, if my goal is to amount
Okay.
masses of intelligence, then wouldn't that be accomplished in of itself? That would be the
What do
same
you mean?
deliverable. That'd be the same. That'd be the same deliverable as your money. It's equally transferable. If I want to translate my intelligence into something of value, as you do with money, then if I can amass intelligence at that scale, and that is, let's say it is my goal, then wouldn't that be the exact same thing? And this is not going anywhere, but I just thought it was an interesting question. And I've been throwing a bunch of ideas up in the air as of lately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's been, I don't know. But I don't know. Sorry. If I just think it's interesting that I am I am very social centric, but I don't know why. Um, and I don't know if it's necessarily the social connection or the knowledge connection, because I don't know exactly what I'm trying to be doing, and that's what I was going to segue into further, which is what we were talking about earlier. As you said, you don't want to play the games. I don't know what games I actually want to play, but I do want to play a lot of them, and this is coming
Not don't
into.
want to, don't care to.
There you go, there you go. I do care to, and I don't know if I want to.
That's right.
Um, in regards to
Okay.
continuing university and playing all these social games, like part of me gets like distracted, and then I notice that, or also part of me actually gets a lot of value from seeing social connection with some people, and I realized I cut that
Mm-hmm.
off. This like Monday, I hung out with like some guys I had never met because I never showed up to class, and then Felipe, who introduced me to these guys, and they were great. Like I can't like it brought to my attention immediately that there was a lot of people that I just did not met because of my choice to actually remove myself. And that actually hurt a lot. It was quite interesting. I walked into a class. It was the class that I dropped out. Um and we were
Mm-hmm.
laughing and I was like, and it's not the fact that I like was nervous about the content necessarily, but more about the connection. Because I know the content, like I already knew it. Like they were doing pigeonhole principle. It was the last lecture. They were doing pigeonhole principle
Mm-hmm.
in discrete math, and I was like, yeah, I know this. But it's more or less like everybody
Right.
around, like it literally felt like I had blinked, and life flew past me,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. I understand what you're talking about.
I got reminded of that every day this week. Every single day, I was reminded about it by a different thing. The next one, the next day, some people that I met from Frosh Week came up to me. And Felipe and I were talking about, friend groups. We were talking about building community because that's what I was thinking about the day before. And these
Mm-hmm.
two people came up to me and they were speaking with us. And they're saying, John, like like we miss you. And I'm like, bro, honestly, I genuinely didn't even remember who they were. And they were like, yeah, like we hang out all the time, like maybe you should come out sometime. We would love to see you out. And that meant a lot to me because, like I just thought that I didn't really have anything to come to school for. And then moreover, the next day, Wednesday, it was the first lecture I'd shown up maybe in 3 weeks for one of my professors, one of my really cool professors, Wasim. And when I showed up, like a lot of people just like, I was just sitting around a bunch of people who could have been a lot deeper friends and some people who I'm already friends with, but they were just sitting around. And
Yeah.
I had a great conversation with Wasim. And we were talking about we were talking like Wasim always talks about like life and stuff, and he was saying he's
Mm-hmm.
basically saying like he was talking about where do you find happiness, and that's obviously like that's a conversation we've had before, but also a different one. But it also reminded me that like these people were also like really expecting me. They're like, man, it's so good to see you, and
Mm-hmm.
having responsibility like that to show up for people, even though it's not necessarily apparent was incredibly valuable to me. And it's not necessarily the fact that, like, oh, these people miss me. It was more or less that I literally foregoed that responsibility that I had to show up for these people.
It's just
And
a very, very, very basic human thing.
exactly. And on any other circumstances, that actually is unforgivable. And, like, obviously, they didn't know that I was just being lazy and I wasn't actually, grinding academics.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, like, obviously I
It's a
was.
big thing for me. Like, oh, you must have been studying. Like, yeah, bro. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I
oh
was
yeah, bro. Like I was grinding. I was grinding, bro. I have like 14 hours of screen time every week. So there's some shit like that, bro, on average. But yeah, I was just reminded of that so much. And then when, Thursday and Friday came around, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was just up the entire night grinding for the research presentation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I mean, that was bittersweet. Like, there's a lot I could say about that, but mostly it was just that I also had a responsibility for this and I didn't put enough effort. Like, honestly, I could have
Really?
started. I wish I had started this, working on this like 2 months ago. Like, honestly, I could have actually had some genuine thing to write a paper about, but, I was being lazy. Like
Really?
I could have made algo by now, is what I'm saying. That's what
That's
I
fucked,
realized.
bro. That's crazy.
That's
That's that
that's
debt that we were
literally
talking
what I
about with the CTV with the CTV news story. The debt.
Hmm?
When I was like when we were like, oh, that news reporter would have owed like a
Oh,
billion
yeah.
dollars to like a lot of different people.
Yeah,
If
bro.
yeah,
I owe that to myself. I could have built
the
algo
debt,
by
right?
now. Like genuinely I
You owe
could
that
have.
to you owe that to your employees. You owe that to your
Absolutely.
shareholders.
I owe that to my family. I owe that to everybody
That's
around
right.
me. And that hit me even harder. Like
Right.
it was a grind, but like I actually built something. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, oh my God,
Okay.
this was incredibly easy. This was incredibly easy. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, I knew that in December. I literally said I could be done algo by April, by the end of the semester. I literally said that, and I
Yeah.
could have. And you know what?
First quarter's out.
Yeah, bro. What a shame. What a shame it
Mm-hmm.
is. So, this summer, no mistakes are going to be made. Absolutely not. I could never let that happen again. Like, that was like I can't explain to you. Like, it wasn't even most powerful feeling wasn't the responsibility, it was that fear. It was that fear that falling off was so easy. That no matter how certain you are of yourself, your eluded ways of being in your comfort can misguide you so far. And that was so terrifying to me. When I was hit on Monday that I had missed so much because of the responsibility, but more so that the class had blinked in a like changed in a big blink of an eye. Even though that this year has felt super long, I just missed out. And that was something that I could never feel again. And that's why I went to
Mm-hmm.
so many social events this week. I also went to the Design Day.
Okay.
I was supposed to participate in that. I was supposed to present algo there. And I saw the winners of the open categories and the entrepreneurship competitions, and I'm like, dude, I probably could have won. I probably could have won.
Right. So
And then
I'll go back to the Chris Will quote. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think that's they say one of the scariest things is you
oh,
meeting the person you could have been.
yes, 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 yes. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm here right now. I couldn't
But
believe it.
that's not. But the goal was not to win. The point is the point. Even to what
Of course,
there's
it's
a
not to
more
win.
kind of
The point is
there's
to
a
just
more
have
exactly.
done something. It's to be there. It's to be able to be there. It's to
That was
actually
more
have
a
finished.
symbol. That was more a symbol of you failing on
Exactly.
your algo goal. So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
That's exactly it. And frankly, like, you know, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I have been very hard on myself in the past few weeks. Like, you could tell, like, I mean, we both were, but like literally not two podcasts ago, I was super bitter. Like I was super frustrated. And I was looking back at it. I saw like how pissed off I was and I was cringing. But if I wasn't that serious, because like there's a reason why I was mad, and I thought I was being honestly just annoying, but man, like I was so right. And ugh, there's just one thing that I've been trying to do, which is take my own advice. That's been so troubling because I noticed that a lot of the time the shit that I say to other people or even to myself is right, and I just ignore it completely. Like I predicted
it's going to be a
algorithm.
good point when all of your advice is just going to be you referencing stories from your past.
Yeah, that's that's bad. I can't be. It can't be that way. It actually, yes, it could not be that way because imagine you're saying your advice is so good based on the fact that you knew you were right because you failed and you didn't listen to yourself, and that's how you know that you were right because you didn't do what you meant to do.
I mean,
That
it's
is
the other way around, as in like I was doing this and then I implemented this and then I started doing this, and you know that that is true because you know who I am and you know what I've done. That's what I mean.
exactly. Oh, I see. I see. No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're so right.
And
And
that's actually how we all as humans take advice. Basically,
exactly.
the only way that we take advice. Um,
Exactly.
we typically don't take
So
advice from people who haven't actually done it.
exactly, exactly. And having done failed, I can take for the fact that I probably would be in a really good position right now for myself if I had done
Hmm.
it. But nonetheless, you know, maybe actually no, I could have spent my time better. I'm not making the mistake again. It's impossible. Like it is impossible. It is impossible. Like I'm so far past that. I I can't explain to you how scared I was and then how hard I worked immediately after Monday. Like I was
Okay.
so terrified to my core. I was like, wow, I could fall off right now. Like right now. If I don't fix it up right now. Like you know how I told you before that there's gonna be a point where the shit doesn't put up? I think I it was the same week where I was really pissed off, where I said, inevitably,
Yeah.
I have to change. That was that point. I realized like, bro, I can't
Okay.
put up with this anymore. And I had to. I had to step up because I literally felt it literally felt like I was holding on and my sweat was like making me slip off the bar and I was about to fall. That's how close I felt
Hmm.
to actually falling off. Because I had like maybe a
Okay.
couple thoughts where it's like, yeah, it's good, it's okay. Like maybe I could slow down. And people the entire week were saying, yeah, like you need a break, it's okay, slow down. Like this is not complicated. And then they're saying like even while I was making it, like, yo, we can make it simple, it doesn't have to be that complex. And I was like, bro, what? No, don't fucking listen to any of these people. Regardless, I maybe I quote unquote punished myself or whatever, but I felt so damn good staying up for those 2 nights, 3 nights, working nonstop and actually having somewhat of a product to finish towards
This conversation
um
could also be an indicator of what you care about.
winning, not falling
Well,
off,
no, I'm
not
just
being
saying you're
forgotten.
all the things you've talked about are is not community based.
I mean,
I'm
as you
just pointing
said,
out.
communities are a means to the end. And that's also like that's exactly right, right? Like what is actually the reason you value it? Like is it because of the
No, it
social
doesn't
connection?
matter. It doesn't matter. I'm just making a point that might affect what you work on.
No, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And
So
yeah, you're
yeah,
right. And I ponder on
I didn't
that
mean
quite a
for
bit.
that to spring
No, of course, of
into
course.
anything
And
else.
but yeah, man, like this week it was just so very apparent to me that this stuff is moving incredibly fast. And if you're not ready to run the mile, then you're not gonna catch up. People were saying, like maybe you need to chillax, like you gotta do that, take a break, whatever. And I said every single time, like, yeah, maybe you're right, but I can't do that. it's not. I don't have that option. There's no scenario where that's feasible for me. And from here on out, from here
Pointer
on,
to what that's not a pointer to what I just mentioned. Sorry, is that a lot of times it's not actually even about what you want to do. It's about what you don't want to occur, or can't have occur. So that you don't even need to go any further than that. It's like doesn't really
yes,
matter.
exactly. So on here on out,
Yeah.
like stuff is gonna get done. Like, I think I got that. I honestly think that that bitch is getting out. Like I spent the past 2 days just sleeping pretty much, but also finishing up other shit that I needed to do while I was like absolutely destroyed because I don't get sleep. But you know what? That bitch stuff is out. Like I need to be disciplined. I need to be sophisticated, and I'm going to implement everything that I chose to implement. And I'm ahead of the curve now, which crazy to say because I was ahead of the curve at the beginning, and then I fell behind so fast after reading week. Um, but yeah, like
That's right. That was the
you know,
time. That was the fallback time.
exactly.
Let me quote a house arrested man. There's no bitchness in my realm.
Absolutely not. I do not surround myself with that. My team can only win. And you know what? Wow. I was so happy to hear that, bro. I don't even care about the quote unquote opinionated man. I was so happy to hear that those good news that he was
Dude,
true.
that video of him walking in his house is fucking crazy. It's a crazy ass video.
Bro, it
And
felt exactly what I said, bro, as like he's out, we better have something to show for him, bro.
that's right. When I saw that video, that's part of the thing where you're like because you see that and you're just like, damn.
He was in jail and he's done more shit than me, bro. He made more money than me in fucking prison. And he's big too, bro. You see how huge he got? Holy shit, bro.
Yeah.
I thought he was a
Yeah.
kickboxer, bro. This
So
guy could crush your skull with his pinky finger.
yeah, that was definitely another thing towards
Yeah.
the whole point of, and especially if that's the competition, then hey,
Mm,
right?
absolutely.
Um,
But yeah, bro, that was my week. Like
okay,
that was
cool.
pretty much it. All my goals were hit for the first time in a while, which was um pretty much just get my shit together. Like I woke up at 6:30 every single day for the first time in a long time. I attended every single one of my classes. Um, and I presented my research project for machine learning, and that was pretty good.
And how did that go?
It went pretty good. She cut me off because I thought I had too little to say, and she said I had too much to say. So, she pretty much cut me off, but like, I got like the 99 that I needed. So, I'm chilling, bro.
You got a
Like,
99
I don't know, what's 14.7 out of 15, something like that, bro.
and A plus. Anyways,
Yes, the
so
99, bro.
yeah, let me just take a
98.
pause. This is
That's
this is the sorry, 98.
sorry, 98.
Okay,
Regardless,
that's right.
like,
Not like grade 12 math. Not good enough, but
yeah, exactly.
or exactly like it. I forget
Yeah,
what
in
I
the
got in that
graduate
class.
class, it is what it is.
That's the thing, though, right? Let's just talk about that because this is a master's class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's quite something. So congrats on that.
Thank you,
But
bro.
let's see it get spun out, and let's see it. Come on, man.
Yes,
Like
bro. Nah, man.
let's make some money here.
Yeah, bro. I gotta make it like I could say I'm quite familiar now with actually building models. Um,
Right.
and that's my it's so great because I'm supposed to ask for pay like increases for my job. And I told them from the start, I said this semester I'm gonna get better and better at building models for you. So just wait and I'll have more things to show you that I've been building. Um, and I literally said just follow my GitHub because you'll just see commits more and more. And yeah, bro, like I went from, knowing pretty much like just pure theory and I mean, now I can code, so they better give me that pay scale because shit, I improved.
That's right. All
But yeah,
right.
man. Yo, Algo's better be built in the next 2 months. That's all I'm saying, bro. Like not 4, 2. I like it's not
Mhm.
hard. If I have, bro, having free time is, dude, like we can't fail, bro. Like we actually can't. It's actually like if we don't have our shit together by June, like by the end of June, man, if we don't have our shit together, we won't be ready for the rest of the year. I'm telling you that much. Like if we're
That's true.
still catching up by the summertime when it's prime time to be working, we're not going to be excelling when the downturn comes back in September. So,
Mm.
yeah, that's what it's about to be, bro. Are you ready for it?
I don't know what to say here because I don't feel like me saying it would have any. I don't know.
It was
Just watch it
rhetorical.
happen.
Yeah,
Just watch it
exactly.
happen.
Exactly.
That's
It
all I
was
can say.
rhetorical.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah,
Are you? Yeah,
anyway.
I'm thinking of something to say. If you don't have
So
anything.
yeah, I'm thinking of something else to touch on. I mean,
Yeah, I would touch on my week a bit more. So
yeah, let's hear it.
yeah, just on some typical funny shit. Like, man, it was great. Like, life is cool. Just went to a few classes, did my presentation, my lab. Um, you know, talked to some people throughout the week. You know, me and my like roommates share so many laughs these days. Um, I went to the music event, which was it's pretty sick.
How do you feel about that, bro? You still fuck with the music?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really think so. For one thing, I'll say that I did feel it in some sense. I understood why I felt like that was probably the one point in life. It's because in general we can there are a lot of references for like philosophers talking about art as being the kind of one that's the single point in life, and you'll understand that as well, John. So that's probably why like
That
I
art is the art's the point of convergence for creative minds.
I wouldn't get that like sophisticated. Just that we're here, we're surviving. What else is there to do? Well, you can be creative with other humans, but I mean, inevitably over the past 4 months, or sorry, 3 months, I mean, I've really come to understand it as entertainment. Which even if I would have gone into the business of it, would have automatically clicked because it is on an industry level. It's called the music entertainment industry, so it's the entertainment industry, and being there, you know, I'll say that I definitely enjoyed it less for one, obviously, but I feel like I don't let myself indulge in it like that at this point, and I don't think I will ever again. I think that I will always just be in kind of a frame where I'm more concerned in providing entertainment for others or facilitating entertainment for others. And something that I thought about is I thought about all the times. One thing that occurred to me this I thought about these times that I talked about before where you have to kind of let go immediately, or you can either let go immediately or you can continue to go back to something. Like for example, I talked about that time that I was upset about like high school being over, but then because I knew that like I don't know something in my mind just really made it feel like there is no going back, as in like you literally cannot go back. So that kind of forced me to just move forward, and I had like a
Well,
fucking
you can't. Your mind
hell of
is
a
right.
hell of a summer, and that's probably why. And so with for example like being dedicated in every second um to like a, let's say, profit driven mission, for example, or any mission. Again, there was a time before this year when I wasn't, so I can continuously go back to that, or I can just like um immediately move on. And I would kind of relate it. It's kind of like I would relate it like moving on from a relationship, because you I guess, but the reason that it's even, I would say, more likely to move on from a relationship is because it's like very hard to get a relationship back. Whereas at the very least, whereas like here, like, I mean, I can just go back to it's not even a life at this point, it's just a mindset, right? So you can always just shift back to your old mindset. And I actually think that's probably the main reason why most people lose their goals, is because it's, if you relate it to that kind of framework of, let's say, like moving on from a different part of your life or moving on from a relationship, it's so easy to just, for your mind to just switch back, even on like a hourly basis. So in some sense, you have to force yourself to move on, because unlike the high school example, you can always move back. So the same way that you might force yourself to move on from a relationship, not because you can't get it back, but just because it gives you peace of mind and the ability to, move on to, let's say, better things. It's kind of the same thing here. And in some sense, I'm choosing to move on to a place where I don't consider indulging in entertainment as being something that I do ever. And I think that's just something I have to do right now in order to achieve my goals. I'm actually pretty damn sure that it's something that I have to do right now to achieve my goals. I don't know what it is. You could call it like maybe like the kind of the mind of the person who gets addicted to drugs versus the mind of a person who can like kind of handle both, right? But maybe I just have the mind of a person who gets addicted to drugs, and like for me, like a bit of entertainment is a dangerous slippery slope into a lot. I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's like my thing with getting rich is in my mind is more important than anything else, and so I'm just gonna play to that. Going back to this is still in the frame of the music events. And that's actually probably why I'm struggling to explain them right now. So because even when I was there, like I had already moved on, so I really wasn't being introspective about it. Like I'm not really too introspective anymore, which is why I don't have much to say unless I kind of achieved like a lot of my goals. So being there, I looked at the equipment. I considered like, what if this was like on a huge scale? Like, would I really enjoy that? Part of it is that I know that it'll still occur. Like I have motive, right? Like it's like with you, and we know this to be a brand that a lot of times, requires these kind of entertainment events for it to play out. And a lot of times we're also just using it. Well, actually, quite literally, we are using it as just a facility to live life the way that we want to, like on a personal level. So case in point, like literally right now. So I still know that these things will always occur. True art also, art at a very genuine level is not bound by resources, let's say, whereas in the world that we live in, shit is bound by resources. So it's also aligned in that sense. Like a lot of times I've talked about like motive should be funded. Motive is ideally funded by other sources of income, kind of like a non-for-profit, because in entertainment there's like a lot of like alignment that has to go on, which actually a lot of times holds back art, let's say. So there's that. So I'm trying to think of it on like, I mean, there was also just the whole thing of like when I first came in there, I kind of saw like a reference to what I knew a lot before, which is like this like community, and there's clearly like a hierarchy in it, not in like a pessimistic way, and frankly the hierarchy is literally just who's the most committed, quite literally, right?
Yeah.
The guy who runs the whole thing, he's really into it, he spends all his time doing it. And then there's like, the artists, and there's like the kind of top bands who are like generally just probably practice more, and they have like more they just have more catchy writing. And then there's like kind of the people who are less committed, and they're kind of like lesser in it. And the thing is, dude, like I don't know if I've talked so much like to the camera and just to you about like my world when I was breakdancing, when I was breaking, like, and how I realized after talking to a guy from Ottawa just how much this actually, just how much wisdom this taught me. In fact, I might actually have to credit basically all of my self-awareness to it. Actually, yeah, I probably would. Like 99% of my self-awareness arc I have to credit to it. Like, for example, this whole thing of societies, success in societies is based on commitment to the society. I completely understood from that world, because that world was one, unlike I would say maybe traditional sports, where you're because the community is so small, even at a very beginner level, you're automatically have kind of feel the freedom to be at the highest level. Like you see exactly how to get there. And it's clear that it's just a matter of commitment. And the people want you to commit in the society. The people are holding on to you to commit. And then I would feel this pull, like I have this whole other life outside of me. And it also feels like these two things don't at all align. Like people in this community don't really have any sort of, or any care to, not that they don't have a literal understanding, but like when you're inside it, like it doesn't feel that way because these people don't really have any sort of care. Like the people who are really in it, like who are top in it, because I want to be top, right? The people who are top in this, it is their whole life. There is no difference, right? Whereas the people outside of this, like it's not like hockey or football or even like, sorry, let me pick an art, like I don't know, like fucking traditional dance where it's kind of like obvious within our society. Like people don't know how this shit works. Like it's they just like it's kind of weird almost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's the same thing here. Like the people outside of this don't know anything about this. The people inside of this have their hierarchy. And look, I live this at SRB with Duchenne and shit. But I also will say that part of it, like I've talked about, part of the reason why I would always like love music artists is because they're like very committed. They're like very courageous in their like commitment to pursuing the art and trying to become the best at it. However, I will say that that's a bias. Like at the end of the day, I don't actually love Duchenne because he's a musician, right?
Yeah.
I love him for the first person he is, and it's sort of the same thing. Like at the end of the day here, like at first I was like, wow, like y'all are so sick with this music shit, but it's like you spend 90% of your time studying quantum physics, so that's actually not really like the same. So yeah, look, if I wanted to, then I would finish my Berkeley kind of music but non-art music application and get into that. But it's not something that I want to go to in terms of whether I'm sad or not sad about it. Again, I can't say something efficient and that sounds combobulated about this because I no longer really would say that I feel those feelings or consider them. But I don't know. It's the same with that an adult. Let's say like an adult, like they're 40, whatever. They would tell you like they don't have some sort of itching feeling to go back to their youth. Like same thing. Like I don't have some sort of itching feeling to go back to this these experiences that I lived out, and I feel like they were really really great. But I don't know, just seeing how much different communities. I talked about this a long time ago, like how if you're at a party and let's say you're at a party, you're one person and you have like 5 people around you who are going crazy. If you're that one person, you might actually feel like this is like the biggest party on earth. But if you like did like a bird's eye view of it, you would see how small it is. It's sort of like the same thing. Like at a music concert, somebody can have like 100 fans and it can be like a fucking lit ass concert. But it doesn't necessarily click in my mind a lot of time because it's not like it's not a high revenue event. So I don't know. I might keep talking, but the reason that I keep saying this stuff is because I know that this is to a camera, but just to you, John. I'll assume that you're not too pissed off about me.
No, of
not
course
knowing
not.
what I'm talking about here, but clearly I don't deliberate these things anymore because if I did deliberate them, because I deliberate them on spot.
That's a good way to put it.
Look,
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Look, I'll say this, bro. I love my roommates. My roommates and I have literally nothing in common. Basically nothing in common, except for just literally all my roommates basically have in common is that we're guys who live in the same society geographically, and that implies every other culture, whatever. And when I first moved in, obviously I wanted to become good friends with them because I knew that I had to live with them. But as I mentioned before, the single thing, and you've talked about this too, the single thing that creates a relationship with people is how much time you spend with them. That's basically all there is.
Yeah.
We haven't spent a lot of time together. I'm still like pretty antisocial around here. Like I don't like. It's not like I particularly tried even to like hang out with them a lot. Like like overly tried to, but we live together, and it's like now like I love them, and like frankly like I'll probably see them like every once in a while throughout life.
Mhm.
So whereas like not like not like super different like differences, but like I don't know, we just don't have that much in common, right? That's just that, and I don't feel like I have that much in like particularly like have that much in common with like a lot of people, whatever that means. But so
Mhm.
yeah, if I spent all this time within that community, then I not only would have felt very kind of good within that community, but I also would have felt like that community is one of the best on earth. But that doesn't appeal to my kind of will to truth, because if I'm kind of in a community that's not really the best on earth on like a kind of above its scale, but then I'm in it and we're just getting hyped up, like I would not appreciate, and that's part of it, I guess. Sometimes like I don't like working towards things that I know are I don't like working towards naturally. I don't necessarily care, like implicitly care to work towards achieving within societies where I know that achieving within that society will not be an achievement within the greater society. This is actually a thing where in Waterloo I was like cool, but in Laurier like I'm so like I'm so careless about like grades and stuff, because I know that Waterloo has some sort of relevance in its world of like engineering, whereas Laurier does not matter. Like if I was at Harvard, you best believe that I would be networking with everybody, you
Of
know.
course.
But
Yes.
and this is another thing to where
I have the same thing, but like even here, I'm
the
less inclined to have
yeah,
a network.
and
Regardless,
but the thing
though.
is, you have to ask yourself why. This is why. Let me just add that this is
Mhm. You're right. You're right.
why I have to not fail in. This is actually another reason to the point of I cannot. It's embarrassing and so dumb to fail in anything in any game you play, because the thing is, I played the high school game and yet I did not step into the best possible position after high school relative to it, which would have been an Ivy League school. And
Mhm.
that's a failure, which then puts you in a position to play a game which does not help you in society, right? Like
Yes.
you step into the B leagues, and
Yeah.
that's a big problem. Let me just say one more point on as part of the music thing. I had in my head and then I lost it, but it felt more kind of relevant. Um,
You're looking good, bro.
thank you. It was this. It was this. This is interesting. This is interesting. I was really thinking about, is anybody at the top of their community actually not like lonely? And the answer could be no, because the thing is, and we've talked about this on like an
No.
entrepreneurship level, where you learn that nobody, that you cannot, at some level you cannot actually rely on other people. And that's the thing. if if you are truly the leader, there's an argument that you, at some point, you cannot lean on others, right? You only have to vouch for those others. You only have to provide for those others. You have to be the one
Of course.
facilitating that community. And if the bar stops with you for facilitating that community, then you don't necessarily get to feel encompassed by a community, right?
Mhm.
Because, and at some level, it's just, and even like if you think about like countries, right? Like at some levels between countries, there is no like for example, let's say that you're the president of the United States. What other country will like vouch for you?
Yeah.
None, because you're the best, right?
Mhm.
Whereas if you're the prime minister of Canada, you still have that lean on the US and just in general, a lot of like, let's say G7 countries, right?
Yes.
Whereas, if you're the president of the US, or let's say you're the president of like Russia or China, um, you, you're at, if you look for like who is at your level, you're all just trying to vouch for yourself. So
Yeah.
that's what I thought about, and I realized that, and this is part of why I think, like I frame it as the adult view is this kind of pessimistically feeling view that there is nothing else, because you are sort of vouching for you. You are the one running. Let's say like you run a family, right? Who else are you going to go to, right? It's up to you to make your kids feel contained, right?
Mhm.
To make your
Mhm.
partner feel contained, let's say. But you yourself, And that's why it's the childish view, in some sense, to feel like there is something more. So that's why, and just like, let's say like you're the CEO of Apple, let's say. Again, like there's stories of let's say Tim Cook, he will have lunch at the Apple cafeteria, and then he'll just sit down with anybody on any day to talk with them, right? Because and that's a very good function for a CEO to have, because they meet other people in the company, and there's all these advantages to that from like a business stance. And those are from an interaction standpoint. Like, of course, I want to interact with them. Like, to be clear, like I want to interact with other humans, right? That's like on a mental level, that's important. However, from like a who is like the one like containing the situation, it clearly, right, like it falls on him. Like
Absolutely.
he cannot come here and be like when he says like, can you help me with this problem, for example,
No.
he's still the one taking on the responsibility, right? So for me to continue to live my life with this sense of needing to always double question whether I can go and find some other point of like, I guess, comfort, or some other point of like feeling contained.
Or rather,
I think
leveraging.
that's.
But are you? Is it a matter of delegating responsibility to people who are more sophisticated than you, or a fact that you actually
If you
need the help?
delegate, it doesn't matter. That's not really the point. I'm talking more about like on a mindset level. No matter whether you delegate in order to get
I'm speaking on the
in order.
same regard as well.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that okay, this is what I want to say about what you just said. And actually, when you say they're you never expected leaders to be lonely people at the top. For me, I never thought it was in the question that they were. I think you can't be a leader with you can't be lonely and be a leader. Those are very contradictory statements. As in,
I disagree.
it wouldn't be you can't be the reason why these people are quote unquote the leaders or the glue that holds the communities together is that, well, they're essentially making the driving decisions towards the entire community's goals. They are the decision makers. The reason why they can't look up to more people is because they are the ones who have been assigned the responsibility to make the decisions. That's why they have to boast to the other people when you look at these other communities. How else are they going to be looking up to other people for decisions when, I mean, for your example, they're literally making decisions against their adversaries. But more so, you can't necessarily trust people who you can't trust to make decisions for you. So that's why these leaders are at this point. And I would say they're not lonely because they have to interact with the community directly. You're not a king if you are doing all the work for your entire kingdom. You're just a really good bishop,
Right.
a really good knight.
So
the leader tells them what to do. And as the leader,
they're not lonely, but they're adult. They're like adult in terms of they can't lean on anybody else.
well, of course, but I wouldn't even say that's necessarily adult. I would say that's just evoking leadership in them. You can be equally an adult. You can be equally a man by being the knight while also being the leader. But those are two very different things. Steve Wozniak, incredible knight to Steve Jobs' vision in regards to actually producing a coherent product. But Steve Wozniak wasn't making the executive decisions in regards to where the company was going to go. I could imagine that he probably made some decisions in technical ways, and as a leader, I would trust my technical guru to make those decisions without me. However, when it comes to guiding, to steering the ship, the captain makes the final say. And that's why I don't think they're lonely. They're not lonely. The pressure or the sadness that you may infer from being a leader is actually having that weight of making the decisions for everybody. I think that's the distinction that people have towards leaders, where they say, "Oh, maybe they're lonely at the top." It's not lonely at the top. They're just at the top, and they're making decisions for everybody, and they're just stressed out about it. Maybe for somebody who's in a very individualist game, like Drake, quote unquote, is lonely at the top. I could imagine in that sense, because that wasn't really community oriented. They're at the top of their own game. They're not really playing a larger game, because he can be beside other people, and he could be beside millions of other artists and still be absolutely reputable. But for a leader, if somebody steps up and does better than him in the same community, he could lose his power or equity or whatever. But regardless, these people are trusted for making the decisions in these communities. So I wouldn't say they're lonely. I couldn't. That's why it wasn't in my question. They're just. It's just a fact of who is more capable of, for one, dealing with that responsibility and then delegating it further. It's that managerial role that assumes their position, not the fact that they're lonely that makes them so powerful. I just think that, like you're absolutely right what you were saying, in regards to what they're talking about. But on a mindset perspective, it's not those who are like, I guess, isolating themselves.
No, sorry,
It's
I didn't mean that's you should do that. I should
no,
do
I
that.
know,
I
I
mean
know,
that's
I
an
know.
outcome that I should be
But
comfortable with. I mean,
that's what
sorry,
I'm saying,
I
though.
should not be optimizing for the
Yes,
opposite
yes,
of
yes,
that.
yes. Sorry, I wasn't. Yeah, you're right. I was misspeaking. Yeah, I identified what you're saying, and that's what I'm saying. They're not. That's not what I'm saying. Is that that's not like you can't be a leader if you're not managing those resources. That's what I was literally just about to say. So thank you for clarifying that. They have to get used to managing all of these resources, all these transferables, whether it be money, capital, um, investment, equity, people, time, energy, etc. That's why these people are in these positions, because they're making these executive decisions. So in order to be a CEO, you have to be absolutely accustomed with dealing with a lot of people. You can't be a CEO without being incredibly astute in organizing and understanding the incentives that goes with managing these things. Not necessarily understanding people. I mean, I feel like that comes with any job that you're actually working with people all the time. You don't need to understand people like you've known power, the 48 laws of power by the back of your hand. What you do need to understand is how to leverage incentives and how to manage intelligence in that way. And I think that's the distinction to make when we're talking about leaders, when we're talking about people at the top. They're managing resources. That's all they're really good at. They're just really good algorithms to getting what they want. And they make it so that it seems like everybody's incentives are aligned, and that's why they're a community,
Nice.
or they they make it very apparent that what they're doing is for a good cause or whatever. But like
Those are
these
just
CEOs,
objects they deploy.
exactly. They're just part of the goal. They're just part of the scheme. That's why people like that's why people, for one, revere CEOs, but also at the same time revile them. Like that's why there's a lot of silly little semantics, and that's why CEOs are very calculated with what they say to the public, because they know not only the entire world is watching, but also their employees and their
Employees, yeah.
future employees. Their community is listening. You can't just talk shit about your family and then go back home and expect them to be all
Right.
happy. You have to be. That's why they're all incredibly calculated with their words. And so, these people at the top of the game,
Right.
they're just managing resources, and they're just getting
And
better.
the more games you play, the more alignment that is required.
Absolutely. They're not lonely. They're probably just stressed out that they're at the top. Like, it probably is stressful, managing billions, trillions of dollars and thousands of people. Like, I mean, I couldn't imagine doing that. That's why I would just manage a bunch of robots. Um, but yeah, like it's interesting because as this develops, like it really just becomes on a foundational level just managing resources rather than purely people. That's why probably that they were able to easily cut off their quote unquote business guy from Facebook in the social network. Forgot his name. Like
Uh,
Salvador or whatever. But like,
oh, Eduardo,
yeah, rest in peace. But yeah, man, like,
he got
yo,
off.
if you're trying to optimize to become a leader, that's why, like, communities are very important to me in playing these games, because I know that I know that the connections are valuable, not for the sense of that they're like these societies that want to climb the ranks, but I want to be able to leverage that responsibility equitably. and
Mhm.
I want to know that I'm actually prepared for that. So, which was put into question quite a bit lately. Like when I was doing my research project, I was pretty much spearheading it, and it hit me. I was like, "Oh my God, I was the one leading this. I should have told these people exactly what I needed from them." Yeah, but I just expected them to be able to do it. Because I mean, I guess they were master students. I was like, "Yeah, probably they'd be able to do this."
You didn't
But
understand your place in the society from the
no,
get-go.
I understood it. I didn't want to accept it. I was frankly
Mm.
just I frankly just didn't want to do it. I was just lazy. But I was also more so that I was like I guess bitter, and I didn't want to bear that responsibility. But like when it came to it, I was like, "Oh my God. No. It is my responsibility. I have to do it." And that's what I did. Um and like I learned more about myself this week probably for the past 2 months because I was incredibly I don't know. What I'm saying is that I was really happy with the position I was put in, and then I was more so happy on how I acted. And I had nothing really to reflect on it other than
Mm.
what I thought was good is that
Other
um
than do it again.
of course. What I think the good things that I think maybe somebody could maybe it could help somebody learn is that when it came to one of the hardest things was actually putting my foot down and actually being adamant towards somebody. I didn't expect people to listen to me when I said, no, this is wrong. We're not doing it this way. But being kind and understanding, but also assertive in what you're doing is a very powerful skill. I had thought that, like, I knew it subconsciously that, there's a reason why they're bossy, but like sometimes people just don't see the greater picture. And so it's good
Mm.
that you
Mm.
explain that to them. You have to explain that to them very clearly. And another thing is that when people misspeak or speak out of line, um, you don't take it too personally because if think of it on a very logical level, there are resources that you need to manage. And so if
That's
you need
right.
to manage them properly, if you misspeak to these resources, then you will lose another resource. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much what I learned about that. But yeah, bro, when we're about to be CEOs, like it's going to be so important that we can actually bear these responsibilities, and it's so important that we expose themselves. So more and more
What do you
lately,
mean?
I don't want to tell, I don't like telling people what to do anymore. Like I don't like giving people advice into like specifics. I like being timeless, like Naval Ravikant says. But perhaps my advice to you is keep trying
Sure.
new things. You're way too young to be so set in stone. I'm way too young to be knowledgeable anyway, but the fact of the matter is that we don't know what we don't know, so you might as well just go out there. I do suggest that this summer you join some communities. Um, and like literally as we were talking, I had I had texted somebody who offered a position at like a hackathon, like Hack the Hill. Um, like you made me realize literally mid conversation that like I needed to do that. Because so on a side note, what you said earlier is that you said like the reason why these people can you basically said that these people with these communities like because they know each other like they're able to spend more time and get more relationships. But what I was also thinking is that like you have to spend time with these people in order to get any of these values. Like you have to actually connect with these people, and I want to be like I suddenly realized that these people are all registered with IEEE, which is a journal, like a research journal. So and these people invited me to that. They're all working for that, so I had to text them. But anyways, um, yeah, yo, join communities. I'm trying to join one for the summer. I'm in a couple already.
Like
Um,
what?
yo, like I'm doing research programs. I mean, sorry, I'm still in school for one. I'm trying to do this
Hmm.
hackathon, and my professor wants me to reach out to people from the NRC, um, like the National Research Center, I think, from U
Hmm.
Ottawa, people there. So that's what I'm trying to get into. Obviously, I'm not trying to overblow it because I want to focus on algo, but also motive. I also was thinking about this, and I have
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
explain
Let's
to you,
actually we can get into that actually.
that motive could be that community for other people to use leverage on. And what I mean by that is
What
that
do you mean?
um like quote unquote the war room, but not obviously to that extent. However, if we to some extent convey, I'm just saying this is an idea, throw it up there. I don't know how we'll do it, but if you convey to some extent that we can get you connections, or rather that there is there's something to gain from attending this event, like career-wise or community-wise, I think that'd be quite valuable. What I did think, and I think I
Mm-hmm.
wrote this down a while ago, but I mean, like, it could be Burning Man North. I feel like that'd be jokes. I don't know what the actual intricacies of that is. Do are you familiar with Burning Man? Burning Man is it's that event where people create a bunch of stuff and they burn a big wooden statue of a man. And so on the same token, like perhaps we could do something similar, like a big creative event where we like it's a competition or whatever. No idea. Um, but what I do want to say, and this is my fault entirely that we haven't expanded sooner, but the sophisticatedness with motive is going to increase exponentially over the summer. We will be able to put more time into it. I should have put more on time into it. Frankly, I was just lazy and being a bum in every regard this semester. Um, but yeah, like in regards to motive, we could be that big connection, and I want to increase that level of sophistication with how we deploy our community. And I want it when it comes out not to be an MVP, but that full stack product. I want it to be pure and ready once we get it out there, so that we truly can capitalize on whatever brand we actually push out. Because the brand is what we're selling, so the MVP would have to be pretty complete. So I want to get up I want to work on it and make a very sophisticated brand. And when we're ready, we'll deploy it and we'll have the communities and we'll build the communities at the back of our hand. So that's what I've been thinking about for
Okay.
for a while.
Can you be more detailed about your goals?
Well, for one, I just want to get like the content actually out there, as you could imagine. But more
I mean,
so,
sure, but we already plan to do that, so
exactly. But more so, I truly do want to establish that I truly want to establish that we are building a community, not necessarily just an event. And I don't know how you feel about that. But what I do like it's a like this is like before where I said I had a feeling of how something looks like and I can't explain it to you very well. And it's
why does
like
the community have to have a name on it?
it doesn't. I'm just saying this is for motive's sake.
Can
Like,
communities really be engineered? Well, I guess anything can be engineered,
can they really
but
not have a name though?
can they really have a name before rather than after they become a community?
Absolutely. That's how communities are made. I mean, like,
Okay, well then it's like just I guess I asked you to be more clear about your goals for it, and you're thinking about a vision, but at the very least,
my
let's
goal is
talk about
as
some
we
like
build
what could
this
be some
up,
outcomes for ourselves or other people.
I want to be able to leverage, I want to be able to at some point leverage creatives. I want to have a direct connection between creative people and then whatever managing that we can do on our end. I do think
Okay.
that's, I like protect, like entertainment company could be a big managing company, but I do want to have direct connection with creatives so that not only can we create at scale, but we also
So
um, we give exposure
so
to more creatives.
in some, if we really want to, especially in kind of the AI world, this is interesting because if in the AI world we want genuine community and genuine art, as in we can even say that kind of as being the same thing, then mode of entertainment might be utterly a wrong name, because not as in literally what it's called, but just as in what it means. Because mode of entertainment is entertainment to leverage is leveraging entertainment, sorry, in order to create business connections or friendships, but
Mhm.
let's call it
Yeah.
business connections. You understand what I mean, right? Whereas motive art or genuine art, as we talked about, is, well, it's just art. It's purely for that reason,
Can
and
we
that's interesting.
Y Combinator kind of vibe for artists?
That could be the way that it's implemented. Sure.
But do you see what I mean?
We need to think about what the goal would be. Okay, that I mean, just from like my kind of connections, my leverage brain, like that sounds like a lot of leverage going on there.
Mhm.
Um,
Like equity,
because
but because not only you're investing in them, but you're having so much connections
but
because of who you are. That kind of vibe.
well, I mean, yeah, and I can just as an example, people want to high net worth individuals want to buy art. Hello, we are. You actually talk about buying the company. Well, we are that company now. Let's put some paintings in your yacht. Okay, so
Let's paint your yacht. Fuck it.
the thing is, yeah, true. It's okay. I don't know of any. There is no art group that has really captured. Sorry, not had that evoked, captured, whatever. Let's call it evoked a love for art in me.
In you.
And
What about everybody else? What
all I
group?
see is all I see is entertainment. All I see is
As the industry?
beyond
Like as normal?
beyond. I mean, there's just all I see is just culture being leveraged for profit.
Hmm.
In this capitalistic world, as well, I talk about this all the time, which is like that that people are that individuals just have their own interests and whatnot. But even on like let's say like okay, fine, just naturally people just care about themselves and their families and their kind of close communities, and communities aren't really, I mean, I suppose maybe if somebody built up a kind of huge community somehow that generally just like amplified the love that somebody has for their own community. But that by kind of like just like a sort of linear framework, it's like let's say you love your kids the most, and then you love your neighbors a bit less, and then you love your neighbors a bit less, and then you have your friends and whatever, and then eventually you just care less and less and less and less. If that was to be amplified, that would also have to multiply your love for your family, which is kind of a crazy concept. As in, like that wouldn't like just by that framework, you would not be applying the same amount of love you have for your kids for somebody across the world. You would have to first of all multiply your love for your kids in order to apply the same amount of love for your kids that you have to the world. But that's weird, which is fine actually, because this is a very a very like far away goal. Sorry, a very yeah. Well, you basically get what I mean by the fact that I can't put it into words.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're really talking about something that is pure, I might think about Apple Computer, like Steve Jobs.
That's a good example, I would say. Yeah, bro, that
Because
community in regards to creativeness, like they
because
worship him in the design world.
I think that actually just in general, yeah. He was an example of somebody who was both prolific, but he might have been prolific for other reasons because that is obviously has to be facilitated by media. However, there definitely is a lot of pointers to him being somebody who designed products that people loved en masse, especially artists loved en masse, without actually having profit be the goal. And so we could definitely reference that. I mean, there are
Wait. You're saying Steve Jobs' profit goal was not profit?
no, well, it wasn't. It was not. I don't think he was a
Really?
conventional entrepreneur in that sense. So that's why I'm saying he could be
Like
a
he
reference
just
point.
wanted to make good products, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that.
Hmm.
And there's obviously a few kind of. I mean, we could just talk about some kind of artist that we know, like I don't know, like Kanye West is a big one, but no, even he knows like he knows it's all commercial. And the reason I can't reference anybody small is because then it's also irrelevant because it doesn't really achieve the goal.
No, absolutely
So
not.
so okay, again, it like Y Combinator for artists is just a good idea, but I mean, how it, motive, in order to really deploy motive, to understand what motive is, we need to think more towards the goal. And if it's not just to kind of leverage, it's not just to leverage entertainment in order to create more business connections and more
Yes, the
more
goal. The
community.
goal is to. Well, for me, I thought the goal was always to just be able to have some great parties.
Yeah, that is the goal. It's just to create parties, to have great parties, right?
That is the goal.
Now, of course, you know, when you kind
But
of get into the engineering
like,
of it,
but let's see,
great
like
parties
think
need to
about it.
have. But the thing is, interestingly, that could actually be a function towards achieving what we don't know. Because the thing is, when you start to engineer a great party, you start to understand that you need, first of all, the people there to be like truly. If we did try to engineer a chain of great parties over time that also a lot of people care about online, I think we would do quite a bit. And this is actually why I said that we shouldn't, that ideally it's not necessarily a profitable event, because the thing is, when your brain stops thinking about sponsors and incentives and stuff like that, then
You're just thinking about making
we
good shit.
would like, hold on, great parties not only leverage great community, but then also output even better community. Great parties also leverage great art, where people actually in there care about art. So in some sense, when we're talking about it, and this is weird. I'm not trying to start a debate here,
No, I
but
know.
to your kind of, I think like last week we had this thing where obviously we agree at some level on basically every point, but there was this inconsistency in wording or whatever, where or just a question of you talking about how when you show up to Silicon Valley, you want to already, you know, have it in your bag in some sense, and I point out that you have to, that Silicon Valley would help you achieve to have it in your bag. It's sort of the same thing here, where you're saying motive should be kind of perfectly engineered in silence, and then be perfectly deployed as bam, this is it. And I'll also reference the fact that musicians talk. It's been seen a lot that like musicians can never predict what their perfect song, what their most popular song will be. In the even like they're like industry people, they sit down, they choose the kind of favorite song, and then it ends up being like a totally different one. That's like the hit. So here it's like, it's kind of interesting because we're talking about how, and this is kind of why I just want like, yo, let's just start by throwing a party, and then just like let's put our brand on it every time, and then people will adjust with the brand, because that's what our brains work. It's because when we're coming in to formulate, it's the same way, like we shouldn't just sit down and talk about community. Like we shouldn't, like, it's cringy to sit down and talk about social stuff.
We should talk about making
Just go
cool
talk to
parties.
people. Just go talk to people, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, if we're gonna, but even so, it's like if we're gonna talk about, yo, let's build the best party on earth in a year, it would be better to just build the best party on earth in a month, and then build the best party on earth in 2 months, and then build the best party on earth, 1 month from that, which is 3 months from now, right? And the point is that you just iterate over time. And I mean, in terms of how do we want people to think about this in 10 years, like maybe we're just different, I don't know. But for example, like in my brain, sorry,
Yeah.
in my brain, it's like, if we, sometimes I think about people seeing the arc. I don't know. I think about people seeing the arc of it, as in they'll be able to look back and say, oh, it was this. But the thing is, it's like when you and I, one thing that is probably similar is that when you and I think about the best party on earth, what else is there except for community and art? Is there truly anything else? We might think about the advertising of it, and you want Lamborghinis. But the thing is, I will say that's also in some sense where that would apply for us, is that hype is really the only way that the industry knows to generate views online en masse, right?
Exactly.
There is just no good. This is actually another thing. There is no good medium for extremely like, not invigorating, but extremely yeah, let's just use invigorating. There is no good medium for extremely invigorating art outside of the kind of IRL, right? And that's where we think about it. But even so, when we think about building up the online platform, right? Like, even that's probably why you would want some like sports cars and shit on your video, right? but again, and hype can also, and that kind of hype can also create excitement and make people feel like they're in something truly magical. But in some sense, again, you are leveraging let's like just looking at that function for a second, I would call that leveraging people's current actually, yes, when I think about posting it on TikTok for marketing, let's say, for building brand, one thing that I have to think about is what is the context of that post in that person's world, as in what were the two posts they saw before and what were the two posts they saw after, as in what mind frame are they in, right? So they enter our party, let's say, within the context of their world, right? So they are already excited about let's talk about some sort of material brand, right? For example, I don't know, like let's say like a private jet, right? So within the society, right, people come as they are and they're excited about this, right? So then if we now have a private jet, like let's say like we fly them in on a private jet, for example, right? We could be using that we could be leveraging that kind of their understanding of that in order to create excitement for them to feel like they're somewhere special, which I think is fine. I don't know. But going back to it, like the argument, part of the argument for why we should just create parties is that when we think about building parties, we understand that, and this is, I went off on this to just think about what are other things than community and art when we think about building great parties. And look, there are a few things. For example, like when we were in school, like let's say you want your party to be talked about afterwards, right? Like for example, that would be a measure of it. Maybe that's not the best measure, but the thing is, again, like even if we reference that measure, that's kind of like money to business strategy, right? Like the same thing, like if people talk about your party the next day, actually probably, or like for a long time, how would you get to there? Probably with community and art. I mean, I'm not sure, but
Here's a question I have to ask you, and I think this is the basis for pretty much everything for why I think we should run it in the way we will. So, when we're talking about vibe and you're talking about creating these good parties and especially engineering to what you're speaking on, who is going to be coming to these
Right.
parties? Like, who's the community?
Right.
Who is the community? Right?
Right.
And if it's going to be artists, how are artists going to want to come here en masse? Well, it would have to be benefiting them to some degree. If it was an art and a creative centric exhibit, like, and I mean those words very intentionally, as an exhibit for them to showcase their things and maybe drink, laugh, whatever, in a house party afterwards or during, while they display some of these creative talents, then perhaps we would have leverage for them to show up. But what I'm saying is that, and I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. And this is why, and I agree with you, but I come to a different conclusion where I think iterating may not be the best case for that, because let's say let's say we're trying it out, right, and we're trying to like do it. We want to get artists our first time, and if we don't do that, who are we getting instead? Like, who's gonna be at the party? People from SRB?
Right. And I agree. The college kids are not really the answer that we're looking for here, by any
Exactly.
means. So
And that's why
yeah.
I say like the MVP has to be quite sophisticated to the engineering of the party, because we won't have what we want, even not even to the nearest extent, if we aren't very sophisticated in how we plan this out. We have to engineer it, otherwise it won't become what we have, because it would have been a waste of time, because nobody in the community would have attended that. Perhaps maybe 5% of it. But the goal is not to have a yield percentage return on how many artists exists in the party. It's yield percent on how many artists wish to return to the party. So we want to
And no
optimize.
word of mouth it.
Exactly.
Okay, but then it's a matter of question of what are they getting out of it? Are they getting out of it entertainment or artful experience, which we can we can basically call entertainment?
Yes.
So it's not, so exhibit, is it?
What if it
It's not
wasn't
necessarily
an actual exhibit? What if it was like sort of like an exhibit? Partially, not exactly. Let's say like
I suppose that if a piece of art is seen in a context, is seen in an entertaining context, that might also improve the art
Exactly.
in some sense.
Like, let's say, well, I don't know. I mean, there's an extreme case where it's literally like an art exhibit, like a tour, and that's
Yeah,
super extreme. There's like super like big suits business, whatever. Okay, that there's a bunch of little
yeah,
stages where people exist on that.
yeah,
You reduce that
and
down, it's like a concert. There's a bunch of little stages, like a fair, where a lot of these people are going. Maybe that's closer to what Motive is. You reduce that even further, it's like a bar, and there's one whole stage or a couple stages, or like one like a recurrent venue that's like an open mic. I would say that's pretty reductive. And you reduce that even further, then it's just a house party. So what we want out of it, I think, is, as we discussed before, something like a fair where it's an interactive experience, or like an amusement park where you can pretty much pick and choose where you go, but you have to experience it all. Or
on the question of iterating versus not, it's also there's a question of, do we deploy it when it's not ready? Because the thing is, the goal, which is intangible, is all of what you said at the same time. We just have no clue how to do that.
exactly.
So should we? So it's like,
I
in
think
some
I
sense,
think
like,
you just have to plan very well and then release it. And like we should have a deadline, obviously. And I think we should put out whatever we do have, but I have standards for us and I expect us to be able to put something out there capable of that by whatever deadline we put out there. Like I do believe we'll have something quite sophisticated regardless of the deadline. Like I don't think it'll take more than 2 years to even make us something, less than even the summer. Like I expect even the summer to be able to do this.
we should. Well,
Um,
yeah, we should have it in the summer.
exactly. Like
Okay.
I do think it's doable. Like I'm not saying it's
You
impossible to
know,
iterate, but I'm saying it's not. It has to be like we have
you
to
know
have
what?
a very clear goal in mind.
Maybe doing a poster sale in a high school will help. Because
Mm.
what could be
Maybe
cool is,
your posters could leverage these artists.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's true. Yeah, we could actually, like, if we want to, I mean, of course, the asset is always there. Like, if we want to, print en masse, their art for kind of like a gift shop type of sale, or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, so I mean, of course, well, right, the chess move, the everything is interconnected, absolutely always applies and everything. So, okay, because even if you think about, yeah, if you think about how do you sell posters in a high school, well, the very basic is, or even in university, it's just that that'll come a bit later, and you won't necessarily be there by my side for it, and also it might come after our first event. But the very basic is, if you think about like the SRB foyer, you
Mm.
have the foyer, you have, let's say, 4 or 5, um, you have 4 or 5 of these like boards, and then my kind of approach is that there's like 3 sizes to each poster. Most of them are vertical, so you have the lower one, and obviously they're all like accordion like this, right? And you have the lower one, which has the big ones. Then you have the medium, which has medium ones. And then you have the top one, which has small ones. And then you just multiply that, and then at the end of it, you have just like a cash register, and that's about it, right? So it may or may not be productive to consider how would you entice people to buy more through that event. Well, you can start with music, sure. I mean, you have music. You
Dushan,
could, like,
main key speaker.
that's true. If you had somebody singing, right, that would be even
Yeah.
more. If you had like live, so you're right. Having a live, maybe having a live performer to at an art exhibit would make the person like the art more. Maybe not. I don't know. Um, uh, I guess so I've talked about this. My problem that comes up in my head is that we are thinking about improving something that a lot of other people are thinking about improving, but at the same time, maybe it's just, as always, the wrong approach. That's just how the world works. It's just whoever is, puts in more
What
effort
do
and
you
is
mean? What do you
smarter about
mean?
it.
What are we approaching? What are you talking about?
We are trying to do something that a lot of other people do, and like every art museum wants to have better exhibits, for example.
Yes.
However, I will also say that that could just be unnecessarily, at the very least, let's say to start, it's an unnecessarily pessimistic view. Maybe in 3 years we come back and say, okay, this is not working. Let's to the extent we want to. Which it'll still be huge. Like museums still have a lot of visitors and are very important parts of the community. So I'm gonna steer away from that pessimism. It's not really.
I mean, like
true.
it's Canada. We'll have an audience if we advertise well enough because people are looking for something to do. Anyway.
Well, also as long as the artists actually have at least a little bit of, kind of, like a little bit of a fan base, they will bring the people to the space, right?
You got a fire?
So. Oh yeah, that also happened this week, bro. My res had a night where like the fire alarm got pulled twice.
Like on purpose, like a joke, or actual fire?
I don't know if you can call it on purpose if somebody's drunk out of their mind, but
yeah, bro. I'm glad I'm away from that shit, bro. Imagine being friends with people who do that shit.
Oh yeah, bro. I couldn't imagine that, bro. That's crazy.
Yo, when I was in Kingston, I actually had a great time, but like, wow, that's all I have to say.
What?
Wow.
Oh, okay, let's not get into it.
It was just crazy. It was just crazy. You know, I'm just saying, like,
let's not get into it.
Crazy, bro. It's crazy that shit happened, bro. We would see wild shit. Is all I'm saying.
All right.
But yo,
okay.
I feel like I always love innovating. I don't like doing things that people used to do. So
yo, we should just try. You know what? Fuck it, bro. Let's just try some weird shit. Like
that's what I'm saying.
That's one point, right? Like fuck.
Weird
what if you just had a fucking okay? Because like on one hand, it's like I'm like we still don't have a goal, particular goal. That
well, we do have the
particular goal. What is
it's fun party?
What is sorry?
A fun party. That's the particular goal. Don't restrict yourself any more than that. Don't restrict ourselves any more than that. Like if let's say we want to have one weird party this way, maybe it's like visual art centric. Then the next time it's music centric, or maybe it's both.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
You know what?
We don't restrict
That's
ourselves.
True. Well, we talked about that one time when I was 2 floors above, right over there. Was interesting as well because we started to get into a physical model where it's like on that kind of hill at Lansdowne.
Yeah.
Where and you would say everybody would walk through all these different booths, kind of like a Saunders Farm reference, where you walk through all these different booths, but then in the end you come to the big stage, right? And I was getting a little scared because we were getting a little too tangible in an imperfect way, which obviously we can iterate even before we output it. But the higher goal for that, it was really based on movies, and I think movies can be. Motive is supposed to be like, because we talk about the best part of Earth, but also it's supposed to be like it's like a movie, right? And I do think a lot about these kind of adventure movies where it's like they start here and then they end here, and they had an right, and it's like by the end of it all they learned so much, and they also made these kind of crazy new friends, and the thing is, in kind of somewhat of a like the most kind of traditional like EDM festival, that's kind of their like arc, and then there's the output, right? But we're saying we can do better, and of course we're not, for one thing, we're leveraging art and not just electronic dance music and drugs, but
we're not
okay, so that's right. So yeah, that's also an interesting part of it, is that the experiences need to connect more smoothly, because that's the difference between a movie and a stage play, right? Is that a stage play is much more cut, right?
It's discreet.
And then of course the most professional ones, the more professional it is, the more smoothly it moves, right? And then so it's like if you can integrate all of these booths together, that's good, because I even think like how much better would Cab Fair be if you didn't have to wait in lines? Simple as that, right? So you can just start there, right? It's like if all these experiences would be integrated together.
Good, well, more on specifics, that could be good for exhibits, whereas you don't need to wait in line. You're just observing something. You're just walking around,
right?
Like for a stage, for example. Like let's say, like instead of have one stage, just for example, you have like 5 stages of a bunch of musicians all at once playing, right? If there's a lot of musicians playing all at once, look at that tight booty. Look at this businessman walking away. No, I know you hear me. I know you hear me. But if you have
What just happened?
yeah, straddle on
Y'all
back.
just like hear me drink?
Yes.
What's that?
Oh yeah, that
What are you
was
talking about?
good.
Oh my god. Shut up.
What I was saying is that speaking about continuity.
You were saying that my walk is very sexually appealing.
Oh yes, of course, naturally.
Anyways,
But yeah, so if you want continuity, what's better than to have artists display their entire portfolio in a continuous way up until you have that big stage. So let's say we have a timestamp. Let's say it's an hour or 2 hours for artists to do whatever they want, and they're on their own booths. Like inspiration from like I guess like science fairs or whatever. But for artists, they're just doing their
yeah,
thing in the booths.
yeah,
People walk by, they
right.
see it, they mess with it or they don't. Perhaps we could have like more enclosed environments so they actually can go in and participate into them. Like let's say like I think the National Art Gallery is actually organized in this way where they have like their exhibits. I mean, it's very like it's very continuous and how you like go to the exhibits. But you can like in most of them, you actually can just sit down and intake these experiences. There's one room in the NAC or the art gallery where it was like it was very secluded off, but it was like this entire experience. It was this huge blue room, and there was just two chairs in the middle of it and like it was obviously an art piece. They were like showing a bunch of photos with music, but you could immerse yourself entirely in that one exhibit, and that could have been the entire art gallery. And you just sit down and just enjoy that particular experience. On that same token, what if we could immerse people into perhaps their own little exhibits, their own individual concerts, their own their own their own little sections off of the entire concert, and there's a time frame, whatever. People do these things and then they converge back to it. That could be a way we do it. But if
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's a really good point that you bring up that continuity is really important, and I feel like we could solve that by making by even removing the necessity to ever break the continuum, whereas it is just a
Mm.
museum of these artists. But that's just how I see it.
You know, I think that's not only that is at the very least a mindset, and at best, and most likely most of the time, an implementation principle, which differentiates us. There
Yes.
is no, there is no uh exactly. I don't even know what it is. It's just content continuous. You know, the kind of base level as well. The art pieces should be similar from like move in a similar fashion, but I agree that there should be like just fully jump on that convergence arc. There is no um separation, like nothing should change. It should all be one thing.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
in,
That's very important.
right? And I think about still going back and staying on that higher level for like the kind of Pinterest board. I'm thinking about what are some experiences that were unordinarily good. And I mean,
Pinterest?
I could be naive here because I don't
Okay.
watch like Pinterest board. You know, like people will
What?
like board like find different photos that they like, and then like it's like if you had like a whiteboard and then you like attach like a ton of different shit that you liked.
Mhm.
But it's like
Yeah,
I mean more
I
like
know what Pinterest,
kind
I
of
know what Pinterest is.
more on like kind of like a not on like a implementation level, on like a not even on a kind of writing the goal level, just on the like vibe level. It's like I don't want to be naive because I know I don't watch that many movies, but like for example, like Euphoria was like a movie that like was unlike any other for me when I watched it.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's kind of common, but it is like pretty
I know what you
critically
mean.
acclaimed or whatever.
In fact, we were like
But at the
basing
same time,
a lot of the principles on the Euphoria ones, that single Euphoria scene.
Yeah, it has always been a
And
kind of
that's also
um.
goes to what we were talking about with the continuity, right? Like it was like a
That's
one
right.
take.
Actually, interestingly, it was a one take.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So
it should be a one take. And the thing about a one take is that it's like if you have like a 24-hour long one take, as soon as you jump into it, like
mm,
whoa, like what just happened, right?
yeah.
And so or it's almost like when you like do like a GTA mini game, and after that you jump back into the kind of normal world, and you're like, whoa, like damn.
Yeah.
So
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
so yeah, that's interesting with the one take. So
So maybe that's a good
there
point
should be
to
no.
harp on. We want to establish continuity in our event, but we also want a convergent moment. Maybe we could call it that on the brochure. But
Well, at least
yeah,
in the
I
strategy
like I like
sense.
that. I like that the continuity. I think when we build these parties, I would say also a lot of the time I would treat parties like that where it's
That's
not
right.
really a swap.
That's right.
Like you would jump from different people who you're talking to. I would talk to different people, maybe different groups. You would hop from people to people, and yeah, you would
But
try to
just on
make
a,
like a good effort onto like
but
really encapsulating the whole experience.
I will say that maybe I think just from a part, another point of differentiation is that like when we talk about like our high school parties, let's say, we might analyze them like analyzing a book afterwards about the arc of it. However, we have never actually, and we might like a little bit in it start like being like, oh, like we want to get to this point, okay, like let's put this point in now, or like, oh, this point is coming. However, um we now start to more so engineer it how we want it to follow an arc, because the arc is typical, it's just like the traditional book arc, right? And we want that arc, we want along the line, it has to be continuous, but obviously it also has to build something, right? So but even if I think about like most clubs or even most casinos, like if you walk into a casino, right, they just want you to spend as much money as possible. Like if you walk into a club, they just want you to you know just go to it, right, and
Mhm.
party. Or if you go to a music festival, they just want you to go whichever sets you want to go to, right? However, you know nobody has really grappled, nobody has succeeded in grappling with the challenges on like a very, like, this is the point, this is not a mini game, this is not a side quest, this is the point of it. The point of it is for you to come in and do a full kind of arc. And actually, I think probably Disneyland is going to be the kind of closest
Mm,
massive success to it, where they
yeah.
probably really design, or like for example a store. But the thing is, a store again will be designed for you to come in and for you to be able to shop, as for you to be able to buy as much as possible based on where stuff is put. However, there is not a, like, I actually think about this even being implemented in a grocery store. What if a grocery store, there will be this point when we come to it, that a
Mhm.
grocery store, the motive grocery store, will have a continuous experience,
Loaded
and it all leads
groceries.
up to a huge checkout. You're like, shit, bro, like, yo, I'm ready. Bro, I'm so excited to check out. Okay, let's go. Swipe, swipe. Oh yeah, let's go.
Bro,
So,
the way we talk about this is like it sounds like we're pumping drugs into all these people through our brand, bro.
well, I
How do we
mean,
do that though? How do we
that's
do that?
kind of the point, though. That's actually the point.
Exactly. So how
The
do
point is
we
to basically
make these people high on drugs every time? Figuratively.
well, I might say that I will say that the kind of best approach, potentially the sort of Elon Musk, let's say, approach this would be to go and read a ton of writing on museum setup, uh, what drugs do to the brain, um,
Hmm.
and Disneyland. Like, read a ton of academic writing on Disneyland, right? So that would be the engineering approach to it. But here we are just ideating for now,
Mhm.
and
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, Disneyland is a good metric. And the thing is with Disneyland though is that their brand, it stretches out. Like Disneyland is not the source of Disneyland's customer base.
very true.
Disney is the source of Disneyland's customer base. Museums they're like a point of leveraging knowledge. So, like if you go to a science and tech museum, you're going to that because the kid or you are particularly interested in the potential exhibits that are going to be there. And a concert is the same thing. Not a concert, sorry, a tour, like a musician's tour is the same thing, where they're buying out stadiums for their music that they've already outputted. But like a concert or a big event like Blues Fest is entirely dependent on the event itself, or like a fair as well. People don't go to Cap Fair because it has one really like notoriety. It has one very notorious ride that everybody loves. You don't go to Cap Fair because you like the alien spinny saucer. You go to Cap Fair because of probably just the history of the event and the community. So maybe we have to identify exactly how we want to get our consumer base. Is it through external factors, both external and internal factors, quality of the event, and etc. Moreover, like as we talk about expanding Motive into a bunch of brands, are we going to be expanding into a bunch of brands after, or are we going to get them first and then get more customers? But if we're gonna do it, because like I would say a lot of the power that Disneyland has is because of just the nostalgia with like the movies that they have and all the other things. Like
That's true.
people have that euphoric feeling because they're
The
like
people who
living
work
in
on
these worlds.
Disneyland, though, that's right. That's right. But nonetheless, what all of these experiences have in common is that the people who manage them have the goal of that could be measured through how much word of mouth occurs. And the same thing for us. The reason that we don't necessarily want to pull people from like a water bottle, let's say, is that our kind of staying true to our goal is to create experiences, right? So, I think like for us, if we just drop people through word of mouth, that achieves that goal because otherwise, I think you're abstracting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And people will go to a certain festival because their friends said that was a really good festival, and people will go to Disneyland because the other family said like, yeah, we went to Disneyland and the kids loved it, and people will go to a artist concert because they
Because
love
they
the
like
artist,
artists.
which is a little bit different.
Yeah. But I'd
And
say like to the similar extent, I mean, we're all talking about experiences. And I'd say each case that you presented are different ways experiences are are
organized.
no lived, as in like put into fruition. For example, with Disney, it's nostalgia based, where it's on stories that they've heard before, perhaps in their childhood, or also just stories that are continued to be said, imagined into reality.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps with musicians,
Right.
it's reliving a potential experience that somebody had personal to themselves that they tie with the song. I would say that's not a stretch with a lot of these artists. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
these
don't think it's fresh.
musicians, like people have experiences with these artists. That's why people cry when they see like Pitbull or like Justin Bieber or whatever.
Yeah, I
Like
don't think anybody's crying for Pitbull, but yeah,
exactly, like it relates.
only the boys will cry for Pitbull.
Exactly, exactly. But they tie these things with like emotional experiences. And then with these
Yeah.
other events, potentially like Blues Fest, those are actually, I think the reason why they might be, this is a conjecture, why they might not be as effective is because they're entirely dependent on the experience that they create themselves. And obviously that's a big factor. But if that's your dependent factor as to how you're going to be remembered, then perhaps you aren't maximizing your resources. For
You're
example,
competing.
at Rolling Loud, people are not going to say Rolling Loud was so dope because of like the food stands that they had on the side. What they will say is about the experiences that they had, and it's entirely based on actually the artists there. They're like, "Yo," it's like saying, "Yo, Tyler, I saw Tyler Creator in Florida.
That's
Oh,
right.
Where'd you see him? At Rolling Loud. It's not.
You're
Oh,
right.
I was at
You're
Rolling Loud and Tyler was there. They're not gonna be like.
It is reliant on that, and this all needs to go into writing to build a greater framework to understand all these events. I think that we are converging to Disneyland being the main
Yeah.
the kind of status quo. But to comment on that, you're right. It doesn't matter if my friend says that this festival was really good. If the lineup is shit, I'm not going. And if my friend says the lineup is really bad, but I just fucking love this artist and I have nowhere else to see them, I'm going to go. And that linear, as to date, has not been effective in actually creating a lot of consumer, like insistence or whatever. So Rolling Loud is probably the closest one to doing some sort of a job where they actually have somewhat of a brand, but it's still actually basically completely based on people expecting them to have a good lineup. Coachella is obviously huge, but for one thing, I don't know how much that actually plays out in the market. For another thing, it's been around for a while, and for a third thing, I bet that probably just has a lot to do with influencer marketing, whether that be like them strategizing that or just so happened to be that people started seeing celebrities there. That's probably why it became hype or whatever. So as of right now, nobody has innovated enough on music festivals in order to actually create brand insistence. And when we do over our lifetimes, but also in the near future, make Motive be both an incredible experience, but also by some definitions, a music festival, or it will actually become the only music festival. It'll become extremely. The point is, it'll become a very great music festival business, and it'll actually be great to finally innovate on that business model to create something that is truly an app. You have to do what Apple did to computers, and what actually nobody else has done.
Yes. No, you're right. You're right.
Even Apple doesn't do it anymore, right? Even Apple doesn't do it anymore. So you have to pull
really good point. We have to
pull the Steve Jobs moment.
We have to design an ecosystem revolving around artists. Now, I don't think it necessarily has to be. I don't think it necessarily has to be purely musicians. I mean, those would be the most marketable. But like,
I'm just making a point.
No, I know what you're saying.
We're also going to have the power to. We're also going to have the power to pull out that kind of to pull out that love that people have in visual art, which I would actually really love if we create the visual art entertainment industry. Which I'm just saying,
respark it.
This is I'm just saying, like, we are now the music industry has moved to its independent model, but we are now the
of course
the label for a visual.
We have to be the universal label. It's the decentralized currency.
We'll buy the music label.
Of course. So to wrap this up,
ecosystem. What did you say? Ecosystem for?
And we had to make
artists?
Yes, an ecosystem like Apple is, but for artists, it has to be an ecosystem that entrances them.
For art,
as in, yes, exactly, for art. We have to build that ecosystem where it's not necessarily that you're dependent on it, but there's whatever option exists is not viable, which is dependent. But like, it's just not viable.
That'll just be an outcome.
Exactly. But
okay.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely have to talk more about this. But yeah, bro, this summer, I'm just excited for this summer, man. We're gonna have a lot of time and a lot of space to actually implement some good things. I expect a lot of things out of this second third of the year.
Yo, I'm 5 seconds behind on what you said.
Oh, I was just saying how I expect a lot of this summer. Like the second third of this year, we better have stuff to show for it. I absolutely believe that. I mean, I've said it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. That I'm a proponent that these this summer, especially in this year, will be pivotal for the rest of our careers. And if we don't take advantage of that, then we will be behind, and we will only be playing a sucker's game. So I think we have to internalize that and really take advantage of that. Like you said, we have to be working together. We have to be surrounded by each other. I'm so down every single day. We're just gonna be working. Like I love the fact that you mentioned runs. I'm definitely down to do that. But yeah, man, we gotta be at the top of our game. Like, yeah,
I
like
agree. I agree with what you say about
insane.
it, because as soon as you said that the quarter will be different, or whatever that word was they used, one thing that came to my mind is that not only will it be high performance, but it will also, sorry, not only will that quarter be high performance, but and then continuing on. And the point is not necessarily that if you wait till September, then your window has closed to do that. But the other side of that is that if you perform highly in this quarter, then in September going forward, you will also have to continue performing highly. So in some sense, sets the standard for the rest of your life, at least until the next window of opportunity, which I would agree with you at, is having a shit summer puts you in a really awkward position in September.
Absolutely.
And,
the window doesn't exist. We open the window.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe when you graduate, I've actually thought about the window, and it's pretty shit, because you're like
when you
20.
graduate. The thing is, what I noticed, and I think we talked about it before, but it's like those windows don't exist anymore because like high school is different because you're competing pretty much with people all in your age group or directly above you because like you're competing to get university.
That's true.
So the window is very clear in that sense because you're not competing with anybody else. You literally aren't. When you get to this stage, you're competing with the world. There's no window. When you graduate, you think, oh, now it's time. No, people have been working better, harder, longer than you have. You think that your window is up now. No, you're just 4 years behind when you should have been starting before. And that's when people say, damn, I wish I hadn't partied so much, because they're like, oh, I realize, yeah, I should have been working. And so we realize it's now.
And a few little motherfuckers at TKS are already way ahead of you in your scientific field. So
they're at Harvard, bro. Like, what am I doing?
And that's actually why they increasingly get into Ivy Leagues. So yeah.
Exactly, like they played the game. Like that's the thing too. They believe that their competition was ahead of them in high school. I wasn't I wasn't a visionary enough to
and then through that they beat their competition, which is basically the winners in this society compete with the higher society.
Absolutely. So, and that's why like I say, it's super important for us because it frankly is just making up for what we had our shortcomings in high school. Like if both of us were in Harvard right now, we wouldn't be thinking of making a startup.
No, of course not.
Exactly, we wouldn't be because we don't need to break in.
It wouldn't be optimized.
Exactly, we don't need to break in. Like
that's true. Yeah, my literally everybody on my floor is fucking loaded.
Yeah. So
if you were there, you'd not 50% of these people have parents net worth over 200 mil. So yeah.
Yeah, and like in Harvard, these people are gonna be like crazy ass motherfuckers, and if we were in that position, we wouldn't have to play catch up because we understand and we identify our competition.
We're not with Devinder, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, bro. Where's Devinder, bro? I wonder what he's doing right now. He's probably partying it up. He's probably studying hard. He's probably living it good. He's probably having that university experience, and he does not have to have a care in the world. That's the thing. He actually doesn't have to care. When he goes out of it, he'll probably be on the same footing as us.
If we can grind.
Well, I mean, if we grind, then he won't be. But like I'm saying, like if we half-ass this, he will be at the same position after graduating Harvard, and we had grinded the entire time, which is crazy to think. So we can't half-ass it. We have to go 100% so that we don't even finish our degree, and we're better off than without them, way before they even decide that they should drop out. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, bro. That's all I have to say for today. My goals for next week are to have finals are coming up. My goal for next week actually is just to have some baseline, like some actual structure for Algo for the summer. Um, I want to prepare for the summer next week, so I actually do want to talk to you across the coming few days, so we can actually have some rigid structure formulated for the rest of the summer. Because once May 1st hits, I want to be ready for the entire 4 months that's about to
Yeah,
happen. So I'd
I'll
love
be
to
back on the 25th.
absolutely. I'd love to the
Yeah,
25th.
and we can stay in constant contact over the next 25 days until I make it back.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we'll definitely discuss that. In regards to myself, my personal goals, just I have to have sophisticated rigid schedule up until finals. I'm going to implement that absolutely. And my one goal is just to have something for Algo, like a formal organization of my structure for how I'm going to actually go about doing things. Um, but yeah, like the goals are cut clear now. It's not muddy. The waters aren't muddied anymore. We know what we need to do. So I'm pretty much set for
Yeah.
the rest of the month.
Okay. Yeah, my goals this week are to complete my schoolwork and study for my exams primarily, and then I'm also working on my poster business again. I'm gonna post. Don't know how much. More importantly, I'm going to talk
Yeah, I
to.
was gonna say
Uh,
I haven't seen the Sammy's posters on my feed in a bit, bro.
yeah, well, I mean that's just the proponent of me being lazy.
Mm.
So
Nah, same here, bro.
no
I should have
longer
posted.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I haven't seen Cognify, bro.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
yo, like I should have
So
talked to more
so
professors,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though.
Hard set goals are to talk to somebody from like a SRB Key Club, basically get a full on answer from them about whether they want to or they want to do the poster sale.
Oh yeah, bro. Oh my God.
And because that'll be the um first of if that MVP goes, then I'm gonna have to multiply that a lot in order
Mhm.
to generate a good amount of thousands uh, under during the summer between 1 and 10,000, uh, and then as well, these goals are not as hard, but um, potentially talk to somebody um, on who runs like an Instagram account that's like relevant to my niche to do an advertisement with them. But that's a little bit less of a hard goal.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's me. That's me for this week mainly, and then also just be disciplined, be professional, and just be stoic. So yeah,
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
um,
I want to spend um probably 7 hours total meditating. I better track it. I've cut back on that um because honestly, I just I usually set time for it, but I'm just now I've been passing out way too much. So now that I'm better, um
mm,
I used to do it before bed. When I try to meditate now,
okay.
I actually pass out. I did it in
Well,
my
maybe
bathtub
before
once.
bed isn't the best idea then.
No,
Okay,
I know exactly. I gotta set it like in the middle of the day. I did it in the bathtub once. Like I was just chilling. I was just taking a warm bath. I was meditating. I passed the fuck out in my bathtub. That was scary, bro. Like my parents woke me up and
that's
they're like,
fucked.
"Bro, you were in the water," and I'm like, "Shit." That was having a
Really?
good time, bro. I just have a good time. But
Yeah, man.
anyways,
All right.
on a different note,
Yeah, I can match you there for the 7 hours. Let's record ourselves.
yeah, bet. I like that. I like that. Oh yeah, bro. Yo, let's set this up, bro. Can do you have Notion still? Do you still use it?
Yeah, I have a Notion.
Yeah. How do I create a new one? Let's make
Uh,
or maybe we won't do right now. Maybe we should. You know what?
what
I will. I'll
what
share you. You know what?
what
I'll
are we
share
doing?
you my. So remember what Dushan talked about sharing our goals and being very
Yeah,
explicit about it. I want to share
yeah.
you my entire page of Can I share only one thing? Yeah, I can. That's perfect. Uh, yo, you know what?
You can either create a workspace or you can just share a page.
Yeah, I was gonna say what I'm wondering is that if I share this page, will every page attached to it be shared with you?
No.
Yeah, that's what I
Every
thought.
page going forward?
Every page in the past and going forward.
No, only tree down. Not
Oh,
up.
okay, that's perfect then. That's perfect. Okay, what's your email?
ANDREW
Yeah,
dot KRE
there we go.
CHMER
Dot.
at gmail.com.
Yeah. I was literally looking for that dot. There you go. Okay. Is that Buzz Lightyear?
That is Buzz Lightyear. And that is a notification.
You still use Notion?
Yes, but I don't use it for a lot of things.
Where do you take your notes
I-
nowadays?
I take them on a notepad.
That's
I,
right.
I actually, like, I write down. I'll show you in a sec.
Have you been keeping track of what week this is?
Oh, it's 13th week.
Damn. Oh, you're here, bro. Wagwan. Okay, I'm gonna
Oh,
make.
I like the dolphin, bro. Consistency, personal organization. All right.
Yo,
I'm
do you
not
see everything?
completely sure how this works.
Okay,
I've
basically,
got newest node calendar view, SC, Notion calendar, and then a screenshot of an embed of a university calendar.
Oh, that was.
The
Wait,
Google Calendar.
do you see the calendar? Do you see any of the pages?
Any of the pages?
The entire calendar is filled with pages. You don't see them.
I've
Go to
got
March.
27th. Oh,
Go to March.
March, sure.
Do you see March?
Yeah, there's like a lot of pages here.
Can you click on them?
Oh,
And access
7-3.
them?
Yeah.
Can you access
I've
them
got
individually?
the individual pages.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I'll go. April 2nd is today. We've got Untitled. We've got 092.
Oh
092.
shit, you really can't see everything. Okay, bro. Yo, yeah. This is actually like all my repository, bro. All I'm saying is that you have access to everything, and I absolutely trust you with everything I've said in here. So,
Okay.
anyways,
I appreciate that.
yeah.
I would also trust you with my my notes,
No,
although unfortunately they're all on paper.
Yeah.
Because
You can even
the way
see.
that I
You can even see from the 30th to the 1st, where I didn't update it because I was staying up all night.
okay.
That's when segments you can see in real time how I perform. But yeah, anyways, yeah, so we should keep each other accountable. And for sure, I think this would be really nice. Have weekly goals and set, and we can watch each other fill them out.
Yeah. Okay. You lead the way, and then I will template off of you.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, yeah, I think
What I do is, so you can see at the top of this, right? Actually, let me make sure this is not this side. So basically, what I start doing is and it's been working fairly, is that I'll just like page through page to page to page to page, and then like whatever I'm doing, I'll just note it down here. So obviously that has its advantages and disadvantages, especially to a Notion guy with you. I'm sure there's plenty of disadvantages. You can't like command F or anything, but
Yeah.
you'll see that I'm actually even if I haven't written anything, I'll start a new page every hour, because and then I continuously remind myself of the calendar day, the week, the year date, and so day 76 was actually the 6,961st day of my life, which is probably like the biggest motivator. This stuff doesn't really matter, but this stuff makes me like stand up straight, because it's like this stuff is like, like, oh, whatever, like the year only started, right? Even though ratio wise no, but number wise 76 is small. But I'm like, I did not live almost 7,000. I did not live almost 7,000 days to be a bitch, right?
That is crazy that you keep track
Right.
of that, bro. Wow.
Well, it's a big no, but it's true. Like, bro, like I did not live 7,000 days to be a fucking bitch,
No,
So-
absolutely.
And then I'll just count down because the thing is, minutes are too small, but hours are too large. So then I just count down the quarters. That's why it's like 77 quarter, 78 quarter. Like I'll just like update it every 15 minutes to remind myself that the day is passing. So that's been working okay for me.
Damn, that's fire.
Just a little
Nah. I like that,
restriction to
bro.
my life.
I
So
like that,
yeah,
bro.
so
I'm gonna implement that, bro. I fuck
I
with
keep
that.
that thing on me now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I
But yeah, I
fuck with
mean,
that.
you'd have to
I think
remind
at the
yourself
time,
of
bro. Holy
how many
shit.
days you've lived.
Damn, bro. What? I lived
Yeah,
like 120 days less than you.
probably. Yeah,
Shit, bro. Fuck, man.
the exact time, 120.
No, I don't know. I don't
Wow,
know.
I just got that on you, bro.
I
Yeah,
don't know, bro. Yeah, that's crazy, bro. You
douche.
just
I know you like this one, Dushan, bro. That's right.
Hey, bro. You live longer, and I'm getting the same amount of knowledge at the same time, bro. So that means I got
Yeah.
120 days on you.
You're getting way more knowledge than me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you're into like research and shit,
Oh,
bro. All right.
that's subjective, bro. Like,
No. Listen, I I increasingly believe that being yeah, achieving your goals has, unless they're in that discipline, has very little to do with being smart and more so about trial and error.
Mhm.
Because
I agree.
even
No,
in like most even in most like even like with gravity, right?
Yeah.
It's just a common observation.
Exactly. You can be like, I mean, we all know this. Like, you can be super smart and never iterate, and you'll make nothing out of your life. So,
Well, the
pretty,
other part is that how smart can you really be compared to how smart do you have to be to discover things that the iterator has not discovered yet? Well, I talked about
ah,
the curve of how much profit would you make marketing posters on a rocket science level
yeah,
before the rocket scientists would finally actually make the rocket go into space and
yeah,
completely kill you in terms of profit. So there's that,
absolutely.
and then yeah, so it's that's why as a example to illustrate this, it's that this idea that software engineers who work 50 hours a week make as much money, if not more, as like Goldman Sachs and like McKinsey associates who work 90 hours a week, right? And it's kind of the interesting difference between their business. Some of them work in the knowledge industry, whereas some of them work in the work industry. Like its output business, I think, is still in most cases just very much more about effort rather than
Absolutely.
some sort of like uh, unique discovery that only your brain could have discovered, because that's really a ridiculous thought. And also,
Absolutely.
if unless you're a genius, it kind of makes your life pretty unfortunate.
I do think though the curve is closing. The gap is closing. The curve is shortening to where true talent and true creative prowess is becoming more and more valuable only
That's
because
right.
hard work is being a lot easier to do.
More efficient.
So, yeah. But yo, you know, research, like, frankly, my AI shit matters to no one who's doing zoology. You know, like I could say like, doing AI, I'd be like, that's cool. I don't give a shit. You know. And on the same token, like whatever I say to some kid in Africa, he'd be like, okay, what did you hunt today though? Like, did you eat a baboon? No. And that's and that's a true story, bro.
It's
That's
true. It's
literally
true.
what David Cho, I think, when he went to Africa, the Congolese jungle, bro. He was like he was telling him all this shit and be like, why do you even like that? That's so weird, bro. Like you don't want to hunt? Like what's wrong with you? And it's the same thing. Like, like knowledge is honestly people
In a
hate
lot of
on
ways,
general
also
knowledge. People hate on
in a
general
lot of ways,
knowledge,
also
but I
entertainment.
think general knowledge I think it's a really good factor of being able to generate a lot of wealth. Because if you're aware of a lot of things that could happen, then you'll be able to make better decisions as to what you want to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the people who have the specific knowledge are just are assets that are being leveraged by the manager. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
all right,
Absolutely. Yeah.
let me. Oh,
Hmm?
bro, I feel like I can't like act like just like funny anymore or like laid back. You know what I'm saying with you? like over the video. Fuck.
Yo,
I
I
gotta see
feel
him in
like that
person.
as well, bro.
Bro, I gotta see you in person, man. Fuck.
No, yeah, of course, bro. I felt like that. Not even like in here. I've been feeling like I just haven't been like. I feel like I've been so bitter lately, bro. Like,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? Like, some people just been rubbing me the wrong way lately, bro.
Oh, really?
I mean, like, I think like if we spoke after, you'd understand, bro. There's just some weird
Bro,
shit that was going on, and I'm just like,
that's what I'm saying, bro. Me too. Like, fuck.
bro. It's like we were talking before, bro. Like we realized like bozos walk the earth, and they really be controlling a lot of shit that's going on. That's frankly what's been plaguing me in the past few days. Just craziness, bro. And I also thought I wasn't funny, bro, but man, like once you just I thought I wasn't funny, but then I I went to like a social event, and that's because I just don't make myself laugh. Like, how often do you make yourself like piss laughing? Not often. But when you're surrounded by a lot of other people, bro, like it's crazy, bro. Also, like,
I'd be like, damn, I did not know that was funny.
yeah,
But I like something
yeah,
somebody else said, like,
literally.
it's to me, like,
You say some shit, they're like laughing. I'll be like, oh, like top G, you know? Like, oh yeah, that's ha 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 ha. I'm serious. I'm serious about everything I said. But yeah, bro, like,
we need more people on because they can bring that out in us. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it's only because like we've been working hard, bro. Like honestly, like we have no like what
Uh,
jokes do we have to talk about, bro? Like I can't say like Tracy bagged Isaac, last
it's
Saturday. Be
saying,
like,
bro.
no way.
It's what I'm saying. Oh fuck. Bro. Yeah, there's no
It's
like.
because also
funny
like our
shit.
work is not like intertwined enough yet. Once you and I are together and we're
Yeah,
out there, that's when it's gonna be different.
I can't like talk shit about somebody in the office. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But then like we're chilling and be like, yo, did you see that? You know what I was thinking?
Bro, you
Ah,
see
no,
that
this
guy's code, bro? I can't believe this guy implemented that. Like,
exactly. Oh, of course, of
yeah.
course. I thought he was a bozo. Nah, you know what it is though? It's also like there's so much shit that I wanted to say, but like I can't say it on here anymore, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, yo, fuck, bro. But you know what? I would say Hadi cut the stream, but it's also 140, so maybe in person will be a better opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Hadi, do cut the stream.
We're gonna
Cut the
stay
stream
grinding
right
right
now,
now.
Hadi. Cut the stream right now.
All
Cut the
right.
stream.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank
No, wait,
you
hold
for
on,
tuning in.
hold on.
No,
Hadi, cut the stream.
I'm saying goodbye
Oh yeah.
to anybody who's online or on YouTube afterwards.
One time, motive. Yo, you know
Bye.
what people have been watching us say? Like.